Heck
Boom.
yeah.
Boom. Shamelessly self-promoted. And then, let's see if my hotkeys working. Boom. All right, we're live.
The real question is who's going to be the first viewer?
Oh, the first viewer. Frank's been pretty on top of it lately.
Frank? I feel like Tristan's going to come through for us and be
Tristan?
the first one. Yeah.
Tristan? Okay. And I bet you Ty comes in, I'm going to call it 3 beers in for me.
I don't know. I don't know where Ty is. If he's
He,
on vacation, he said
he,
he's gone for the
he said he's
weekend. So,
gone and it would be a little, like he might be a little late to it or something along those lines.
all
Uh,
right, that's okay. Do I wait till a viewer shows to open the beer, or do I open the beer without him?
you can open it without him.
I don't want to break any rules.
No, there are no rules here. It's like Fight Club. The only rule is you don't talk about Fight Club. No, wait, no, you talk a bunch. No, I mean it really. I guess we can just jump right in. But basically, I accidentally made a podcast. Like I stream for a while and I just go live and I talk a bunch and um, I mean I've streamed for like 4 years about just video games, random D&D and stuff, and the meme occurred that I have a rant mode that gets activated. So like I'll just like they did it to me on Wednesday. Someone got me talking about Mass Effect like mid playing WoW Classic or whatever, and they got me talking about Mass Effect. So I just like flew off the handle and started like ranting, right? And this is like a common thing for me. And so I literally have a rant cam. It's F1 on my keyboard, switches to the rant cam. It's got a little red blinking light that says rant cam, and it zooms in just like a quarter of an inch on my face. So it's um it's just goofy and so I was just Ossiarch Bone Reapers came out, teased, and I had been just talking with Joe the night before recapping NashCon for him, and then they actually came out, and I'm like I can't not talk about this. Let's go live. And so Heywo Joe joined me, and then like he made a tweet like a couple days later, and it's like watch the new show, and I'm like I do have a new show.
And here we are, 5 episodes in.
Yeah, five
You
episodes.
go live with Val for a second?
Why?
I
No.
don't know. She wants to talk to you.
About?
I don't know.
Is it gaming related?
Probably.
No viewers yet. Okay, what's up?
I don't know. Here.
What do you need, Valve?
Corgi can't leave.
Hey, what's going on? Not too bad. Literally right now, I'm live. Yes.
We have no viewers. It doesn't count.
I have one.
I think it's me.
Okay. You've got it. No, we got you. I've got a whole slew of games to get you addicted to. As long as the RL adulting things that our priorities get taken care of, we're fine. Right? Yeah. Yeah, you're good. Is that it? Yeah. All right. No, you're good, Val. I'm actually looking forward to it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we need to get you. I'd agree. Thank you, Val. Thank you.
I think he needs a shelf for all his paints to display all the paints.
He's probably
There's a
working
lot
on
of paints. Yeah. You can't see the other part where all the paints belong.
Yeah.
I'm just not good at putting them away.
it. I currently have my plastic glue sitting right here, my clippers. I've got paint on the hobby shelf of Doom. I've got like half a box of endless spells put together off to the side, a bunch of best. It's a mess in here. It's just I stash everything precisely out of camera shot. um, yeah. No, so like I accidentally started a cast. Now we're 5 episodes in, and I just like I was kind of going through, and I'm like, I think I should have guests, but I don't want to do just like a standard interview so much as just a conversation with friends, you know.
Yeah.
And so bringing on a friend, and I think we have like a. When I first met you, and I know when I first met you, I kind of had this perception that you were also kind of like removed a little bit from like your core gaming group the way I am, and I know that you have what is it, the Fox Valley gaming group and stuff like that. I see you posting stuff in there from time to time, and you got your Escalation League now.
Trying
Right on. Which is what Urgot's what is it, Damon Spume here is from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but basically I just kind of want to talk about like how do you stay connected to the AOS community when you're a little like removed? And I think that's a subject that probably resonates with a lot of people, considering, I mean, just go to TGA or Facebook. Most people's opinions are formulated from kind of reading the book by themselves and then going online and talking about it. And like, that's cool. I spend a lot of time theory crafting, but like, I guess what I want to kind of talk about when we get through this, and this is going to land us on the subject of D&D inevitably. So like, if you came in here for only Age of Sigmar content, and corgis.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's lots of corgis. Sadly,
Yeah.
mine's not here. I just got back from Las Vegas, and he's still with my mom. So.
I promise people the double corgi stream. I'm already a liar.
Well, there's one corgi on camera, which I think is impressive of itself.
Yeah,
so.
This is Mochi down here. She hates the camera. When I'm streaming, she goes and hides because like I talk and I like, and she's like, "Is he mad at me? I'm the only one in the room."
See, Odin's the exact opposite. When we're doing anything, he just jumps right up on my lap and tries to get like on the keyboard.
Oh,
so
Mochi
he can be part of it.
She can be beckoned.
No, he does it own free will.
She's got that.
I'll be like writing notes for D&D, and he just jumps right up and like pushes his head under my arm.
Right on the keyboard, just
Yeah.
slam. So that's awesome. How old is Odin?
He's almost a year and a half now.
Oh, still puppy corgi. So
yeah.
Mochi is just over 10 years. She acts exactly the same as she did when she was young, and I'm told that's a quality of like the breed. Is they act like a big dog all the time, even though they're tiny, and so like they always have like a little bit of an alpha persona with other dogs, and they strut, and they maintain their energy pretty constantly. I mean, she's getting a little hobbly now because she is becoming old and she has like a tiny hip issues, but it doesn't stop her from doing what I call the Mochi run or the corgi run, where they like they run like slinkies, like...
Yep, and their butt starts going off to the right, and then they got to pull it back over, and
it's freaking adorable. Yeah. But before we dive into the topic and many more tangents about corgis, I've never asked you personally how you got into Age of Sigmar, and I have you like mentally pegged as a Warhammer Fantasy Battle guy who like followed it in, but prove me wrong or right now.
You're very wrong, actually.
I'm very wrong. Okay.
I started this hobby 4 days before Age of Sigmar release. I had no idea that Age of Sigmar was coming. I didn't know anything about Warhammer Fantasy. I just saw it. I remember I was a kid. Pokemon had just come out, and we were camping, and one of our family friends had this Warhammer magazine, and it had the old pewter models in it, and I wanted so badly to buy all the elf models, and I asked my mom all the time. I'd be like, can we get one? Can we try it? And so they wouldn't let me do it, and I grew up in a smaller town where there wasn't hobby shops or anything like that. There was a card store that had raw cards. You know what those are, don't you?
Raw,
wrestling.
like WWE wrestling cards? I see you got the boss in the background there.
Yeah, Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks.
Intercontinental champion.
All right, so you like raw cards could, yeah.
Yeah. So I collected those a lot as a kid. Like I always wanted like the nerd inside me to be embraced, and I was a big comic book guy, and so it just wasn't accessible as much. And this was back, pre-internet, at least very early dial-up days where you couldn't just jump online and find anything you wanted. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, the notion of like a forum is even in the internet, like now we're kind of on the tail end of even forums being a thing, but like even just going to a forum like that was dedicated in the early days of the internet, it was the Angel Fire sites, right? Like it was obscure to like find. You could find it, but especially when you're younger, it's like there wasn't a Google search yet. It
Yeah.
was like it was rough. Ah, you win.
Yes.
Tristan first in chat. You have come for rants. No, so like you wanted your nerd to get out, and like so you had already been collecting like raw cards, your WWE raw cards.
Yeah, and then I discovered HeroClix, which I have. I don't know where they are, but I have just a massive box full of those. Um, but then that was kind of it for like this genre, right? Like I don't even know if we consider HeroClix part of this genre, but
I
um,
would, I would.
yeah. So that was it, and then I became invested in sports in high school and college. And then I don't know what it was. One day, one of my coworkers said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Warhammer?" And I said, "Nah, I don't think so." And he was like showing me pictures of this stuff that he used to do when he was a kid, and I was like, "Oh, that's that thing that I always wanted my mom to buy me." And now I have this money that I can waste and buy myself. So I went into the local GW and just started like I want everything on the wall. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to play. I didn't know anything about it. So, but Heath, who was the shop owner and a good friend of ours, now was like, just hold on a couple more days. Come in next weekend and we can talk and just look on the website right now and figure out what you like and we'll get you going next week. So I come back in and I'm like, okay, I know what I want to do. And I had boxes from like 10 different armies and 3 different allegiances, and it didn't make any sense to buy them together. And I was like, this is what I want. These are really cool. And he's like, well, you should probably just, pick one. And I started a Slaves to Darkness army. And it was August, right? Or July, whenever it was when AOS came out. And they did an Armies on Parade in October, and I was like, I really want to get this army. I want to get a 1,000-point army, even though there weren't points then, so it was units. And I was like, I want to get this, and I want to get it done. And never painted a model, never touched a model of this style in my life. I used to build model cars when I was a kid, but so I started painting, and I just was going to town, and I had this idea in my head of. It kind of came from like Wrath of the Lich King. So I was the Frost Cloaks, and as they marched forward, they brought the frost with them, and I painted up a Bellicor, which this is good camera time. Hold on one second.
Yeah, no, bring it. And hi, Tulu. Or is that be maybe Tulu Babash? Welcome.
All right, so I don't know. This here is the Bellicor that led the army, but is it going to be light enough? Can you see it?
It's a little dark, but we kind of get the monitor light.
So here, I'll put a picture on Twitter too. So this is the first model I ever painted to lead this army, and the whole concept was he was marching forward.
Bellicor is the one that has the like once per game you secretly pick a model.
Yeah,
and then once per game.
Give your opponent the middle finger, right?
Right. I had that happen to my Nagash in my first tournament in the wild. So
yeah.
So someone Bellacored me.
Yeah. So that's basically it. That's how it started, and then I just hammered out this army, and I did a display board. I did. If we're talking points today, I probably did just close to 2,000 points, and
How long did it take you to pound out like 2K points?
Honestly, like 6 weeks.
Wow.
And yeah, and it just like Heath was teaching me everything and showing me how to dry brush and blend and all this stuff, and I was picking up on things really fast, and it just all kind of clicked for me. And then I made this display board. I had like a back cliff with a frozen waterfall coming down it, and I was pouring resin, and I melted my display board and ruined a bunch of my girlfriend's stuff. And then I did that like the night before, and I put some 2-part nail polish acrylic on it to seal it and make it look like it was frozen. and it just reeked. So I drop it off at the GW, and everyone's talking crap about how I only got votes because everyone got so high when they stood next to my display board because of all the nail polish. So, so anyway, I don't know anything about it, and I set it up, and I ended up getting second place in Armies on Parade back when it was just first, second, and third for all of the
Wow.
category. There wasn't the individual categories or anything like that.
Right.
And I mean, the shop. I think there was like 50 people that brought in boards, and the whole shop was display boards and stuff. And so it was super, super cool. And that was kind of my entry point into the hobby, was just this super cool AOS experience to me, where points didn't mean anything because I didn't know what the hell they were, and it didn't matter if things were balanced. I was still just kind of learning and stuff like that, and it was just like this perfect experience where I could make up a story behind my army. And yeah, I painted corn blue, and everyone was like, "Why are you doing that? Corn isn't blue; it's red.
Well, blue
Blood
corn.
for the
This is
blood god." And I'm like, "Well, I don't think so. This is what I want." And I didn't know the lore or that kind of stuff, so I just got to tell a story, and it was one of the most like magical experiences I've had in my life, because I got to just fully express myself in this army, and I just tagged you in this picture. I should have tagged Tristan.
I'll pull it up here on stream here when it comes up.
Yeah,
But,
so there's my
boom.
first rant of the night.
Wow, look at that. See? Woo! Cheers. No, I just want to point out that this is the second stream in a row we've talked about blue corn.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was someone in my chat the last stream was talking about blue corn. So that's funny. So you're not alone. There's plenty of you rebels out there.
Yeah. Yep.
You can hide an open bottle of nail polish in every of Brice's display boards from now until he catches you. Oh, savage. Herbie, tell jokes while you're gone. All right. Oh man. No, so like you kind of like came onto it like sort of hobby first, and like narrative first, even like the it's weird because like I was gonna ask a question, and it's not a question I normally ask, but like hobby gaming or other, and you think you like, because I consider you a hobby hero. Like you're in one of those categories of people like I look forward to seeing models on Twitter and stuff like that I like. I would ask for advice on how to paint stuff, basing in particular. I know you've got a reputation for doing pretty good bases, and they hold up. And is this the very first? Like you haven't really gone back to this Bellicor? That
is truly the first hero I've ever painted. So I painted a unit of 5 Dark Riders first. And that was that. So that's, I don't even know if I have them anymore. I think I stripped them. But this is the first model that I've painted from start to finish with a base. And there's almost no practice or anything like that in between.
Man, if you see my first model, it is a resin skeleton, one of the old plastics, right?
Yeah.
Literally an old like 90s dip technique with globby red eyes. It's like the worst. I can't even find it. One day I will. It's terrible. But I was like 12.
Yeah,
Honestly, I don't think I'm capable of. I'm capable of better now, but only just. Yeah. So like I said, I do consider you in the hobby hero vein, but you've also, what was it, Midwest Meltdown? You went 4-1. So like,
yeah.
and your team was won best team overall.
We did.
Like you're basically the total package. Like when it comes to this game.
Yeah, I mean, I just, for me, it's always been like more of a bonding thing, and yeah, it's fun to win the games, but if I can tell a story while I'm playing a game, and one thing I've always wanted to do is this like escalation style league, and we tried to do a few Path to Glory campaigns, but you know, life gets in the way and whatnot. But just a 6-month, 1 year long thing where I can put pieces of your army on my base and just bash it all up and tell the story of this whole campaign that we played, like that's the dream that I wish I could have. But it's so hard to get people that want to consistently push the hobby and do it that way, you know?
Right. Right. So you're currently you're doing. I guess tell me about your escalation league while we're just on the subject, because you're
Oh,
I yeah.
it's like pulling teeth, man. I'm trying so hard. I post like every day, and I get nothing. We have new people that are super excited about the hobby, but I just can't get people to paint with me and follow along with me. So I'm still trying. It's just 500 points, like 6 weeks to paint 500 points, and then a month to add 250, and in hopes that everyone would get to 2,000 points by like Adepticon time. So I'm
See,
still trying, and props to Mark Ramchek and Isaiah Ramchek for joining in and trying to help me motivate the people up here to follow along and do it as well.
hmm. See, I've got like two over 2,000 points of Bestigors because technically I have Cygors that came in the Start Collecting boxes. Um, I could maybe do this. Maybe we'll see.
I mean, it's just a good way to get yourself to paint, right?
It's true. So when you're doing the escalation league, you were talking about taking bits of people's armies and putting them on your base. Like, do you like imagine people coming at the store and like doing like a hobby thing like once a week or something as they go through the escalation? You know, painting along with you or having like a
Oh,
paint or hobby day.
oh,
And
in a
then like
dream world.
you can swap some bits and like okay like you beat me last week. You know we got to go up 250 points. I'm gonna take you're gonna take heads of my bestigors and start putting them on banners and stuff like.
Yeah, yeah. Like in a dream world, I would have like not that I don't, and I think part of it is as an artist you're always critical on yourself, right? But I don't consider myself an expert by any means. I just practice and take my time, but I would love to host little hobby seminars where we talk about converting or painting this style or just this is how you build a wet palette. Yeah, you can find the videos on the internet, but seeing it in person is always different. And I know a lot of people don't paint a lot because they're intimidated by it or their stuff doesn't turn out as good as Steve Herner's or Vince's or whatever it might be.
They've
But
been
like,
doing it a long time though. You have to
yeah,
understand.
yeah,
You know, if the
and
hobby journey is stairs, you're climbing stairs, and they're just. It's not that you can't run up the stairs and kind of and close some distance, but it's you still got to go through the steps, to ascend. But yeah, continue your point. Like they see the Herners and the Vince Venturellas and Mike. He's got some really great stuff too. Like, and they just like get deflated that they're not there yet. Um, I see. I think that the acceptance of the Age of Sigmar community and just the willingness to play with people and want people to be part of this um, is what makes it great. Because it is a personal experience, the army you build and play. And even if you're like, I want to win, there's three armies that can win it all, right? You're gonna gravitate towards one because your personal, whatever your personal flavor, your personal style, whatever it is, you're gonna those personal parts, kind of regardless of the type of player, show up. And painting is like painting and hobby is the best way to express all of that, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And like I don't know. I think that when you put like the time and the passion into a project, even if it is the filth, right? Like you can paint up convert prime example, Vince, this beautiful, well painted, tons of effort Slanesh army. Like it doesn't have to be painted that well, but when you put that much time into it and you play with it and you win with it, it means even more. Like I've had my elves for the whole time I've done this now, and every time I paint up a new elf, it's better and it's more rewarding. And putting it on the table and having people go, "Oh wow, that looks really nice." That's almost as rewarding as winning the game for me. And I just love to express things through the painting and the hobby. And how cool would it be to play like an Ironjaw's army in an escalation league, and you just get to kit up all your stuff with different armies that you're facing and fighting and winning. And I don't know, it's just a dream. So
See, I have a herdstone that is dying to have like body parts roasted on it.
exactly.
You know, like I just like I'm gonna have to get a separate base for it of all the things I want to murder and have currently being burned in it.
Yep.
And I have a whole story to go with my Beast of Chaos. How like they have the heart of a volcano that they don't know is like an old Daemon prince who's been captured, and they've been like sacrificing people to the volcano, and
Yes.
good things have been happening for them. But then the necroquake happened and it cracked the volcano and they had to like mine the heart and go on a sojourn. And so they have to keep
Nice.
throwing blood on the well, because why would you move with your herdstone, right?
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
this is why. So they move the reason they have like a bunch of beasts of burden carrying the herdstone because it's the heart of their volcano and they have to constantly be throwing blood on it. Usually the blood of their enemies is good, but like in a pinch an Ungor will work. so yeah, like I no I when are you trying to run the escalation league? Like do you have like a target number of players you need before you start running it, or
I mean, I'd be happy with one player or six players or a
just like
hundred.
one
Like,
other person to do it with, or
yeah, I mean, I like Mark and Isaiah are in, and I know there's people that are like dabbling their feet in being in, but they haven't committed and posting progress. And like to me, if it is, oh, let's make it longer so we can have 2 months to paint it or whatever it is, I don't really care. I just want to help people move down this path of hobby and storytelling, right? I mean,
right?
well, I'm sure, like you've said, we'll talk about the wonder that is D&D, but like you can still tell these incredible stories through this hobby as well, and the fun that there is to have with it. So, it's something I like. I originally the plan was this weekend Adventure Games, which is where we're having hosting the Escalation League is having an event this weekend. So I was gonna maybe push it to next weekend because it's the last day they're in the store before they're moving, and I absolutely love that store. I highly recommend if you do live in the area that you go visit it before they move. I'm sure once they move it'll be awesome, but I know this one's awesome. So, but yeah, so I mean, I if it takes pushing it back to October 1st or whatever it is to get people, and even like I've posted on Twitter before, but if it's people at home like someone with a super cool Tomb Kings army that wants to add to it and keep growing that Tomb Kings force and play along from a distance. Like, yeah, we can't play each other, but we can still encourage the hobby and share our passion with the world, right?
Man, I wonder who in our chat that would exactly describe that could be part of it. so that parlays actually accidentally nicely from one rant into like the next rant, which is like this disconnect. And I know we went to NashCon and stayed up recklessly late on what was that, Friday night? Saturday night. It was
Saturday
Saturday night.
night, yeah.
It would have been Saturday night, recklessly late. Yumi, Tom, Ty, and the Ram checks were there for a good portion of it too.
Mm.
Just talking, bonding, and stuff like that. And like Age of Sigmar, unlike D&D, I play a lot of these other games. Like I am the perpetual escapist. You know, like I use comics. I use you can probably even see like my comic collection, part of my comic collection on my shelves behind me. Like I'm just the chronic escapist. I want to read comics and play D&D and play video games to like kind of escape and check out. D&D I love. But even that is like that same like I'm tired of what's going on in this world, so I'm gonna make a world and I'm gonna go there for once a week or a couple times a week when I'm creating stuff. Like AOS is the escapist vice where I actually connect with people, and it's kind of crazy. Because D&D does have some of that fulfillment because I do have players that I have to like play with every week and tell the story to. But that the mental reps I'm getting in really are like I'm not going to be here for like 6 hours. I'm out of, I've checked out. Whereas like Age of Sigmar, like it helps me stay active talking to people on Twitter when I could just not turn on social media. And I know social media is like a weird cop out, but like when like I live in a town that I moved to for my family, and like I don't have friends here, and it's hard to make friends when you're an adult and you don't know if you share interests with people and you got a big family and you know or whatever. It's hard to make friends. Period. Like,
Yep.
like it's hard to make friends. Like and to have that like this game where I know that like I can go and play it, like that's why tournament I'm a big fan of tournaments, and I like where your head's at with this escalation league. Is it almost like gives you an excuse to make an event of something, so that like you schedule it and you go and do it, and then you can. In Age of Sigmar, for me, like now I connect with people again. I go to NashCon, talk to friends, hang out all night, and then there's a game that happens in between that, and I like that. I really do. And I'll ask you the question, and then I'll ask me, how have you stayed connected? You know, you've got I think of this escalation league and a lot of like the Twitter stuff, but like, how do you like stay connected now from your little like island?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's two part, and it definitely starts with what you mentioned and like the tournament scene and like I say tournament because that's what it is, right? But for me, it's not. I'm not going to try to win a tournament. I genuinely go to hang out with some of the coolest people I've ever met. Like we're I don't know if it's just us in the Midwest I mean, I guess technically people say Nashville's the Midwest, so we can include that. But like the people that I've met through traveling in the last 3 years across, what, 5, 6, 7 states, it's just been a truly wonderful experience. The people have had an impact on my life, and that alone, it's not keeping in touch with the same people or the same things I used to do when I lived in Milwaukee, but it's given me a way to still embrace all the things that I love about the hobby and meet new and wonderful people along the way. So that's one. I mean, if it wasn't for the tournament scene, I don't know that I would paint in the way I do. I'd probably focus more on painting models and busts and things like that. But painting up armies so that I can go and play with these people and be part of it is definitely something that keeps me going. Obviously, the Playing and Slaying crew, the Basement of Death, those are some of my closest friends as well. I make trips to Milwaukee just to record a podcast because it keeps me in touch with them, and they've been a huge part of my life over the last 3 years. Just the podcast, it gives us a chance, if nothing else, even if no one's listening, the four of us can get together and just stay in touch and talk and just kind of escape from everything else. So there's that, and then the original crew, the guys from Milwaukee, Heath, Brendan, Dave, three of the people that really are the reason why I started the hobby. Not necessarily started, but stayed, like, made it past that first step, like
to commit. There's starting,
Yeah.
and then there's committing. Like, okay, now I'm in this.
Yeah, and they were a huge part when I lived there and could be there. We would hang out in the shop 2-3 days a week, and sometimes we just sit there and chat. Sometimes we paint. Sometimes we play. But knowing that I can maintain those relationships, even if it is from a distance, by going to the events, doing the podcast, doing rants where people listen to us talk like fools about things we love, it just it keeps that fire going, and like people thinking stuff's cool. Like when you do something different, or you do an escalation league where you have a theme behind what you're doing, and people like to see it, and it kind of motivates you to keep going. So between those three, and then obviously the social media that keeps everyone connected no matter where you're at, right? Like the 400 people we talk to all the time are people we might not ever pick up the phone and call, but we can tag them in a tweet anytime we want and start up this crazy NBA chat about trading me to Detroit or whatever they might be. So
yeah. No, you're right. I think, and if I were to switch this into like a giving advice stream, I unintentionally did some of the same stuff you're talking about. Whereas like I go to the tournaments and I start meeting all these people, and I've only been out of my like LGS and like closed circle of friends, like gaming group for Age of Sigmar for about a year now, little over a year. My aim was to go to Adepticon last year, is like because I got Death just before the LON tome. LON came out in the process. I'm like, I'm gonna try to get this finished for Adepticon. Missed the target. I'm like, okay, so what's the next tournament, right? It was Gen Con, and I guess it was only 12 people, but I won my hammer, and it's no less valid that I won my hammer.
Is it more valid than Hobby Bear's hammer?
Yeah, because he doesn't have one. I actually thinking of doing a quest for the hammered type, like where he plays like a chess master. He plays like 3 games simultaneously, and if he defeats the gauntlet, he can I'll beseech my hammer like to him, like that's the prize. Um, but no, and then and I ran into Kyle there, and Kyle he jokes that it's like it was like cold sales and the closer was Christian. But I ran into Kyle at Gen Con, and he's like, "Oh, dude, you should come to Dragonfall." And then like next thing I know, I'm at Dragonfall, and I meet you and Butch there. I meet Mike, Sporadic Mike there. I meet Tom McClure. Like I meet all these great people. Mark the Ramchecks. We played Isaiah and Mark in the last round, and it got to the point where Isaiah and I were just resolving these massive slap fight combats between all his plague bears and all my skeletons. And Joe and Mark just like look at each other like, let's go get a coffee and a smoke, and just like walk away from the table. And so like they just like go and like we just hang out and we're just talking, and like Isaiah and I actually ended up talking about League of Legends of all things. So it was like bonding and finding, and that's where like I began to like gain this fascination of Age of Sigmar is almost like I'm very passionate about this game. I mean, who knows how much I rant about it every week, but like it's almost like these overlapping spheres I've begun to notice in the hobby, that like where it's like I know I have this common thread with all these people I'll ever meet. And then when I find out that like, oh, Tristan, he was just in chat here, like, oh, he likes basketball, and then like that bond deepens, then because it's like we got Age of Sigmar, and like, oh man, so now I know that he's my Age of Sigmar friend I can talk basketball to, and you like you get these little like sort of like these like big, it's like chains, like you get these more links in this chain and like really strengthen the bonds pretty quickly. But then the next step I took was now I have to be active in talking to people on Twitter, scheduling casts to like stay connected and stuff like that, because I do feel a little bit isolated from time to time, and getting to a tournament like every couple months can be really rough, and some people
expensive.
Some people don't have that, like aren't fortunate enough to do that, and so I consider myself really lucky, but I'd also tell them that if they have any, if there's advice mode, if they have any apprehensions about going to a tournament, seriously don't. Like, just go once. You owe it to yourself, and meet some of the great people of this hobby, and then from there, go bug them on Twitter or Facebook or wherever, and keep those bonds going. Even if you can just make one tournament once every few years or something like that, just try it. It's worth it.
Well, yeah, I think part of it too is like it's kind of a special space, right? Where like we have this really niche hobby where it's like not a ton of people do it, but all the people that do it are kind of like in their own way, some way or another, like I don't want to say social outcast or what, but like misfits in certain ways. Like it's not the cool thing to do to paint models when you're a kid, and it's not, all the other things we're passionate about. We're a bit more comfortable talking about with each other because, hell, if I like AOS and I love Thor, I can talk to you about Thor and make a pretty good assumption that you've at least read a comic book in your life before. And it's like, it's kind of like this nerd culture of ours that's becoming more and more accepted as time passes. But everyone in this hobby is like has their own kind of basement of shame that we can all talk about and not be shamed about,
I love that. Yeah. Except no, it's true, because you have that, like, and the other side of that is like you might be talking to one of the normies who happens to be in the hobby, but like they're in your they're in your side of things. Like like they're the weird one if they're normal and they like this stuff. I mean, I think there's a lack of judgment there. Where like you that like you've already passed the first threshold of like I play Age of Sigmar, so like I already know they kind of accept my whatever my particular type of weird is, my type of outcast status, and I'm like, so like then it's just a matter of like, okay, well, I do happen to love comics, and didn't anticipate a full comic sidebar, but we might get into one. I think we're gonna have to. I owe it to this stream to do that. Because I'm a huge comics fan. Like, my comic store was my hobby store growing up. Jimmy Jam's, Winona, Minnesota, just the place. In fact, I collected basketball cards, and trading basketball cards is how I bought my first RPG books. It's how I bought my initial Warhammer fantasy book models. It's like it bankrolled like everything when I was young. It was like that and mowing lawns. So, but yeah, I mean, I would go in and I'd be like, "Hey, Jimmy, like, how's it going?" Oh, great, Andrew. I'm like, "What should I read this week?" Here, you'll love this. And he recommended Rising Stars by J. Michael Straczynski. Was one of those like just comics when I was like he's the guy who put Sandman in my hand. Like this is Sandman. You're gonna love this. Here's Preacher. Like I'd always go to it was called Econo Foods, and they had a prolific magazine aisle. And the first section of the magazine aisle was actually just all comics. Just one full shelf area of actual comics. Like, for real.
Nice.
Like, not even just, like, the popular stuff. Like, real, like... And I guess they did it because, like, Econo Foods grew from, like, the old drugstore style. And so they had, like, the Archie comics and stuff, which were always, like, a hot seller coming up through when that business was growing. And so he had, like, a little mini comic book section. My family would go shop, and I would sit there reading the new X-Men. At the time, the Uncanny X-Men, or, I think it was Uncanny X-Men was doing its run at that time. Anyway, yeah, so like, it was actually, like, I did that, and that was, like, my comic book store. Like, it's so associated with all these things. I already assume your favorite hero is Thor.
Yeah. So Thor is my favorite hero because of my childhood. Like, so growing up, my grandma actually is the one who would read comics with me, of all people. And it was one of those things, like I said earlier, there wasn't anywhere where I could go and get comic books. Like, I had to take a trip to Madison to get comic books. So, like, it was super special when I got them, and I just loved Thor growing up. I've always loved Norse mythology, and I just think it's the coolest thing, and the meaning behind everything is super important to me. So Thor is my favorite, like, deep down comic book hero. But I think if I had to say, like, other than the obvious, my favorite, that is one loaded question. But
what if I say a top 5 or top 3?
Top 5
in no particular order, like a top 5. Can you rattle off a top 5?
I would say Logan is probably. I think I could safely say Logan is number 2.
My boy. So that's my number 1.
Okay.
James Howlett, Logan. He always has been, and I'll give you exactly why. So the X-Men cartoon was huge when I was growing up. I loved TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because who the heck didn't? Thundercats before that. It was like Thundercats, TMNT, and then X-Men. And just chronologically speaking, that's the stuff that, like, was coming out as I was growing up. Okay, and X-Men comes out, and you went to school. I think I was in, like, the 2nd grade when it was, like, airing on Fox on Saturday morning cartoons. Man, I was in, like, the 2nd grade, and I would go to my friend's house, and we would play X-Men, and we would all be X-Men from the show, and nobody ever wanted to be Wolverine because his powers didn't do anything. Like, I think we lost Skype there for a second. Yep, reconnecting. I'll just keep going with the rant here, because dead air is the worst. Wait, maybe he's back. Maybe. No. At least we caught him with a smile instead of, like, a weird, like, yawn or something. So yeah, Wolverine's my number 1. Because nobody else wanted to play him, so I was always playing Wolverine. One of my friends in particular, his favorite hero was Gambit, because he had found a stick in the woods that was the most like a bow staff ever. And so he had the bow staff, so he always got to be Gambit, and I played Wolverine because nobody else wanted to play Wolverine, because Cyclops had blasts, Gambit blew stuff up. nobody did, like, and their whole thing is like, oh, his powers don't do anything, and so like it became like this badge of honor to like be that outcast even early. I'll try to call and get him back real quick. Uh-oh. Yeah, technical difficulties. Perfect. Maybe he's in the middle of a thunderstorm like we've been having all week. Hi, Mochi. Mochi, Mochi. Mochi, Mochi. Alright. I'll just pet a corgi on live TV for a little bit. Alright. Uh-oh, he's not online. I'll minimize that for now so you don't have to see other information. Well, I don't want to, like, keep going with the discussion about comics without him. So, chat, AMA, real quick. Ask me anything. Real quick, you get an AMA. Wolverine is best. My number 2 and 3 may surprise you, though. Favorite Skaven model look-wise and then rules-wise. My favorite Skaven model is by far fucking Icket Claw. I'm sorry, I guess now he's just an Arch Warlock. But Icket Claw, by far and away, is my favorite look-wise Skaven model. Deathmaster Snitch, also pretty cool. Both versions of him. Like his old version where he had like the poison dagger in the tail. There we go.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Kick the power trip turning the light on, but that's okay.
So this was now. You're only one beer in and you hit the power strip?
No, I didn't hit it. I must have had one too many things plugged into it and tried to turn this light on so that you could see me better, and then flip the circuit. So
welcome back. No, I just switched to AMA mode with my stream, and
there you go. I knew you could handle it.
Yeah, I can handle dead air. Live broadcast.
Put you on the spot. Make sure
I know it was
prepared.
Oh, Mochi wants to go out. Hang on, I gotta let her out. No more corgi cam. Bye-bye, Mochi. Alright, Mochi is free. Be free, Mochi. Hang on a second, I gotta turn off Mochi cam so you're not just staring at my ground. There we go. And then as far as what my favorite Skaven model is rules-wise, that'll have to be continued.
Oh, we're talking Skaven.
Yeah. So I was just mentioning that my favorite hero was Wolverine, largely because we get together and we play X-Men on the block, and I was the only one who wanted to play Wolverine, essentially.
How is that even possible?
I don't know. The main logic from kids, you keep in mind we're like second graders and stuff. One of my friends had like a great stick from the woods, and so he had the bow staff, and so he always wanted to be Gambit.
That's fair.
And then, like,
if you had to pick a second choice, that would be the.
Well, he is the second choice. But like the big reason they said is like Wolverine doesn't do anything. Like his powers don't do anything. They're not obvious. Like he didn't shoot blasts. He didn't blow stuff up.
Okay.
Hello, Mommy.
What's going on, Colin? No, buddy. Not during a live broadcast. Later. Bye. No, so like his powers didn't do anything, and that actually kind of became a badge of honor. Like, so I was like just doubled down on my outcast status, I guess, and then like maybe a little bit more personal than a RantCast deserves, but I came from like my mom was bipolar, and she wasn't super nice, and like Wolverine regened, and I used to like go into the office and like like I'd have to make up excuses for why I was hurt. Like literally, one of note was like I actually like I'd really messed up like the side of my knee and the side of my arm, and I took toilet paper and electrical tape and bandaged them up, and and my and my teacher's like, oh, what happened here? And I'm like, oh, play hockey. Like, play hockey.
Yeah.
And so I remember having to talk to, like, social services and stuff like that. And so, like, I'm just figuring out, like, Wolverine and comics and stuff, and thinking it's my fault that they're coming to talk to me and my sister and my brother, and going, if I could just heal like Wolverine, then this wouldn't be a problem. And, like, and that just deepened my bond to Wolverine. So as I grew up and I got older and older, it's just like, it just only ever intensified. So Wolverine's just, he's always been my guy. Now, I'm not the person who'll tell you I've owned every Wolverine comic ever, or that, like, I've read them all. I've read a bunch of them. Wolverine End Times and Old Man Logan are some really, really good runs of comic. End Times especially, where he's got the busted adamantine claw, and it starts out with him burying Sabretooth. Like, ooh, so good. But yeah, so Wolverine was just my guy. He's still my guy. He's always going to be my number one. And then the movie Logan was just the movie I, a Wolverine fan, have always deserved.
Yeah.
Because
we all have, right?
Have
you watched it in black and white?
Not yet. I have the special collector's edition Blu-ray. I got it for my birthday from my buddy Sam. And so it's like I'm waiting for the it'll have in the winter. I watch a lot more movies in the winter because of my job. It's construction related, so I get a lot more free time. And in the summer, it's like only the things I must do, and then like my spare time must be like creating content, or like absolutely, it's got to fill up maximum amount of time. So I'll put it on the list for like my winter movie marathon. But how is it? Does it?
It just takes it to a whole new level. I mean, you have to be a movie guy, I think, to appreciate a black and white movie and the difference that it makes. But man, when I love that movie. I think it's fantastic, color or black and white. But when first time I watched it in black and white, it was when it ended, I just kind of just sat there and took a few minutes to just reflect on how incredible it is. So,
and there's like a so like when he's holding 23's hand at the end there or whatever, and like you remember it was one of the X-Men movies where she says he sees like a future, and she mentions his future or something like that. Like, that was from the other crappy X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Like it even made something bad better. That's how good it was.
Yeah.
It retroactively went back in time and made another bad movie good. No, so Wolverine's my number one by like a huge margin, and then my number 2 and 3 aren't Marvel guys anymore. I switched to Vertigo. It's Spider Jerusalem from Transmetropolitan and John Constantine from Hellblazer.
Okay.
And also Constantine.
I'm just a huge Marvel fanboy, so like I've barely read any comics.
I will physically hand you my entire Hellblazer set. I will it takes up the middle chunk here on my top shelf. I will physically hand just like, here are 11 anthologies, read them all. Like, there's some new shit coming out, you don't need to read it. Read this. Here you go.
Yeah.
And why The Last Man, if you haven't read it, is fucking phenomenal as well. So, and that's so I've got those are the big hardcovers. They're like, as a writer, those are things that I aspire to be able to write. Like, these are stories that change people's lives, like, these are the sort of things. So those are my top 3. If I stay in the Marvel universe, Magneto and Captain America. Magneto's
you're a Captain guy?
Yeah. Look, I didn't like him when I was younger. I didn't like the Boy Scouts. But as I got older, and it happened like, I'll say it. It happens right around like the MCU is where like I flipped and I'm like, yeah, I can get behind Captain. And it happened because I realized how it probably happened closer to like the actual Civil War comic run, even though that comic run was kind of bad, but I really liked his character in it. What it is like, it's really hard to be a good guy in a world this fucked up.
That's true.
And that's what I love about Captain America, is that he is trying to be the most quintessential good guy in a world that is full of anti-heroes and mostly villains, and it's really hard to be a good guy. Winter Soldier actually goes into it, with like how Hydra's running everything and stuff, and it's just like, oh, it's so awesome, and he's still being a good guy. You know, like
Yep.
it's so hard to and that's why I dig him. But then Magneto's like in there, he's a hero.
Yeah,
Fight
he's
me,
a hero.
fight me, IRL.
Yeah, that's. I guess I should top three then. So Thor,
Yeah.
Wolverine, and see, it's tough because I want to default say Loki, but I feel like that's cheating. So I'll go outside of Thor, and I think it would probably be, man.
Ooh, making you think.
Yeah, so I think it's Captain. I thought that I was one of the only people that actually liked Captain that wasn't
See, this is
born
why
in
we get along.
1940. Um,
This is why we get
but
along.
yeah, so I just love. I've always been like a good guy at heart. You know, I'm always rooting for the good guys. And Captain's just the ultimate good guy. So
That's it. Yeah.
and Vision. I mean, Vision was another one for me that was like this whole different world, right? It's just it's a very different from all the other Marvel comics, and I liked it a lot. I hate Iron Man, which I think is very unpopular, but I can't stand Iron Man. I hate him in the movies. I hate him in the comics. I've never been a
It got old. It got old. RDJ. Yeah, in the end game. Spoiler alert. Feel free to skip ahead several things. It wasn't surprising, but what bothers me is like it took him the entirety of the MCU to have any character growth whatsoever, and then he just like got it all in the one last movie. Because Iron Man is Iron Man is Iron Man in every freaking single scene of every movie he's in. And moreover, he is Robert Downey Jr. does Iron Man, and it was cute in a couple of them, but the fact that it just never grew at all until the very very end, which is cool, like nice bracketing. I appreciate it. As a writer, I know you earned this. This is good, but as like a person who like I just like I'll even defend Iron Man 2. By the way, I will defend that movie.
okay.
No, no. Here's my take. It was supposed to be Stark's alcoholism, but RTJ and the scriptwriters had disputes because it hit really close to home for him, and so they switched it to the blood poisoning thing, which is bad. But the reason it's a good installment, not a good movie, the reason it's a necessary installment is it shows the worst enemy Tony Stark has is Tony Stark. And I think that's a very important plot detail. It could have gotten over better. They could have done better. Mickey Rourke is a total disposable like Will Badass for food type. Like, missed the mark for me. Like, the other industry guy missed the mark for me. Like, but like, I liked that one premise that Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, that Iron Man is Iron Man's worst enemy. And they even kind of like riff on that a little bit more in 3 with the Mandarin. You know,
Yeah.
like the Ben Kingsley reveal. It's fucking fantastic. Like it's Iron Man's own worst enemy is just always going to be Iron Man, and so it goes the whole time, which is why he and Doctor Strange despise each other. They're the same character. It's just one has like magic and the other has technology as magic.
Yeah.
So but is there like a non-MCU character that you really champion?
Flash.
Flash? Okay.
Yeah. Not because of the show. Like
It's fantastic. It's all right.
The show is good, but like it was long before the show that I had the soft spot in my heart for Flash. It's always nice to have a good love story, and Barry Allen gives you the best love story that there is. So
I dig it. Oh, all right on. See, you never know what you're going to get with RantCast. No, I mean that does bring in. I can bring this back to our main rant, which is I wrote an article. Yeah, see, look, I'm good at this. I wrote an article a while ago called a new status quo, and it was about how like nerd had sort of like superseded and taken over what the previous like status quo was, and I directly cited the MCU as the reason. And basically, like, in Game of Thrones was just kicking off, like getting into its height around this time. It was the first Avengers movie or the second Avengers movie when I wrote this article. Because it had just shattered a box office record. And I'm like, I have financial proof that nerd is in. And so, like, we can't keep clinging to this, like, we're nerds and we're outcast status forever. Because the things we love are becoming more and more loved. Like, ubiquitously. Game of Thrones has the fantasy nerds being mainstream and stuff like that. Or had fantasy as mainstream. And for a while, LOTR brought fantasy into the mainstream, too. You know, like, the LOTR movies. And then we had regression to the mean with Hobbit, but I digress. So
I love The Hobbit. I don't care what anyone says.
I liked the actor. He's quaint, but like I'd still just rather watch the old animated flicks. So,
yeah, that's fair.
yeah. So but the point I'm actually going to on this is like as nerd became more popular, you had a group of people that were basically half their identity was this shared social marginalization. This like this outcast status that they all shared helped them, that's part of what made you a nerd. I remember I wasn't actually a nerd middle through, so I wasn't in the nerd clique middle school all the way into college because I hid my nerd. I hid my shame,
Yep.
I had a girlfriend for 2 years in high school, sophomore through junior year. Did not know I played D&D, she knew I owned a PlayStation, but she didn't know I was really into gaming, because I hid it. She didn't know. I ran 2 sessions a week, and she didn't.
Gosh, wow,
I know. Well, technically one was Vampire, the Masquerade, and one was technically I was running a Vampire the Masquerade game, the nerdiest of them, if you ask me. I'm not a GM. I'm a storyteller. You're a fucking nerd, is what you are. I say it endearingly, not meanly, but come on. You're not even pretending to be in a different city. You're every Vampire the Masquerade game thought it was the coolest thing ever to set their Vampire the Masquerade game in their fucking hometown, or the nearest thing to their hometown that was a big city. So for us, it was literally in Green Bay. So I'm like, okay, one of the Packers is a vampire. Guess who? And that's a big point of intrigue. Bart Starr, by the way. Bart Starr was a vampire.
Love it. Love
it. But no, so yeah, I was masking my power level for a long time, and it wasn't until college when I joined Gamers Guild and Otaku Anonymous when I first got that experience of I can be a nerd amongst other nerds and be fine, which is also, yeah. So but what ended up happening, I feel, when nerd got popular is nerds kind of regressed some, and gatekeeping started to really ramp up. Prove you're a nerd, prove you're nerdy enough to be with me. Prove you're one of us. That crap started to happen where the old guard of nerd suddenly was you can't be a nerd too just because it got cool. I don't see that in Age of Sigmar. Which is I know there was just a big Facebook thing about that, but I don't specifically see it in any of my circle of friends, any of the tournaments I've ever been to. It's all people who want you to come play Age of Sigmar with us. We want you no matter who you are. You don't need to prove you're a nerd if you have an interest in painting and playing and learning the game. I don't care if you just picked up Age of Sigmar yesterday, or if you're a longtime Warhammer Fantasy Battle player coming back to it after, falling off the train with Ninth Age.
Well, yeah, and I think that was one of the coolest things about what AOS did, right? It completely pushed out all that hatred because the people that were the gatekeepers or that were super upset quit. Yeah, they still might post up things on the internet about how their Bretonnians should have rules and get off my lawn, kids, but I think all of the wonderful people from fantasy stuck around, and then they just opened the door to new wonderful people. So now we just have 2 pools of wonderful making wonderful soup.
So 2 pools of wonderful making wonderful soup. It makes sense. No, I feel that. I do. I think whatever happened with I didn't play during the I didn't even play during the end times, or with the world it was. I didn't play during that, and I didn't play during the dark ages of the pre GHB Age of Sigmar time. Like Joe actually came up to me, I think it was about GHB 2017, and he said, "Andrew, it's good now." Like I think was like his like sentence he said so that I could like get interested in wargaming again because I had been on a big hiatus. But yeah, I don't notice that with Age of Sigmar, and I think part of it has to do with exactly what you just said. Is that like kind of the like hyper nerd gatekeeper sort of like gave a middle finger to the game, and like they stayed back, and now they need to like prove that they don't suck to like all the cool people. Where they're like yeah, but are you gonna be a douchebag to everybody? And then they're like, no,
Yeah.
I've reformed my douchebaggery, and it's like, okay, cool, come play, because that's like the only type of player we don't want in Age of Sigmar is assholes. It's the
Hmm.
only that person gets shamed more than anybody else in the game. Is like, I hate the term whack because I like to win. I am in the category of people who wants to win. I've got a competitive streak, but win at all costs implies that winning is the only thing that matters, and I'm not about that life. Like that's gross to me. You know,
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
my favorite games in the last calendar year. If I were to give like three of them, two of them I've lost and one of them I won.
Yeah.
Like because I had more fun in my losses than my wins because the type of people I was playing and stuff. Like that's what this game does. Whereas like if I walk away from an MTG tournament weekend with like a losing record or like I lost games, I am pissed. There isn't a single game of Magic the Gathering I have lost that I thought was fun in my entire life.
That is true. That's thankfully a rabbit hole. I only went down for about 3 weeks and then never really made it stick.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that Age of Sigmar, this community and the people you meet and those bonds that you're willing to like continue to build the bridges even from your island to somebody else's island, and keep playing and keep gaming and keep engaged, is really what makes this kind of special. Um,
Hmm.
it's one of the last games I think in existence that can't be replicated digitally without losing the important stuff. Arena and MTG is just fine, Like I don't need to talk to you to play you in person.
Yeah.
In fact, like I'd almost rather, if it weren't for the fact that I physically like stuff because I'm a curmudgeon and I'm old school and I want books and I want cards and stuff, the digital form would be just sufficient for me. The collectible aspect, whatever. Um, like there's a lot of MMOs, World of Warcraft. Classic's huge right now. Like I can play and hang out with those friends digitally and stuff like that. There are so few games out there that board gaming's in its height. It's on a huge upswing in general, so board games are coming back. But I have a board game simulator in Steam that runs Twilight Imperium just fine. You know, like I can play an 8-hour Twilight Imperium with one of my friends from Milwaukee if he feels like it one weekend, and like not physically have to be in the room with him. Whereas if I
Yeah.
were to come up with if you were to give me a digital version of Age of Sigmar, I would just like vomit on it and like hand it back to you.
Exactly.
So I think that there is something there's just something unique to wargaming kind of in general, but it's especially heightened in Age of Sigmar where it's like it almost necessitates that you be around other nerds and you hang out and you play games and you talk to them. I mean, I played Relian at Midwest Meltdown, total professional, like just you know I was on the fluff list. He was on Slanesh. It was a very quick game, but he was a goddamn pro about it. Quick, real quick talk. I even got him to have a beer with me, so that was my victory point right there. Um, so,
I got to play Brad in my first ever game of
I
AOS at an event,
okay.
and I mean, I didn't know who he was, right? Like I didn't know anything about the hobby other than like when I walked in, Dylan was just like, "Oh, you got to play Brad," and I was like, "Oh, okay, that sounds cool. Who's Brad?" And I mean, he was great, and I consider Brad a good friend of mine at this point. And I would happily play him anytime. There's people that I've played against that I would rather not play against again, and he is definitely not anywhere close to making that list.
I'd play him again. Hopefully, I'd be on like some on though at that point it's like, oh man, I didn't give him a good game. Is what's going through my head, you know?
That's
Like,
what he wants.
yeah, fine, but that's not what I want. Like, I want good games, right? Like, I like you can kind of play like so like my death march list, for instance. I can play to the level of my opponent, and I'm not saying like I'm gonna play down and like play you soft. That's not. I think that's kind of a little disrespectful. But like if I see somebody who's like they're playing for the double turn and they're redlining it, they're just everything up at the max deployment zone. I'm like, oh, I see you two are a man of taste. Like, I'll line my shit up too, and like, all right, let's go, gentlemen, start your engines. You know, like
Yeah.
play to like the type of game you think you're about to have with the opponent. What the type of like I will do that at a table. I'm like, oh, this is where Tobin, and I can't remember which is, I think Mark Tobin, the
Mark's the older one.
older one, yeah, and plays Sylvaneth a little
Yep.
bit more. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, Mark Tobin and him and I, like, we always have these like chess battle games, which I love, where it's like, you know, we come up to the table and we're like, and we're two generals deploying really intelligently, and that's the type of game I always have with him, and I'll play to that level. I would never try to redline against Mark because he'll just crush me, you know. And we've had two very close games of just chess, and he's taken both, but one was doubles. I don't know if that counts. But you know, like, so it's like I would, you know, I'd play him anytime. You know, it's just like there's these. It's weird. Like, I have a kryptonite of the type of player, and I shouldn't reveal to my chat live what my kryptonite is. But it's Mr. Fast and Loose Man who questions everything you do. So on his turn, he plays really fast and loose with everything. You know, like, assures you everything works the way it does without double checking stuff. If you ever question it, gets angry and defensive immediately. Like, you know, and I'm just like, no, I'm genuinely, I don't play your army. I genuinely don't know the range of this ability. Like, please tell me, you know, type thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that guy. And then, like, suddenly my turn, and he's like, how far is it up, move? Oh, 8 inches? And then he's like, was that really 8 inches? I'm like, first off, dude, you know the deployments are, you know, 18 inches, right? And I know that you were up as far as you could be on your 18 inches, and I know my guy moves 12 inches. So, like, even if I don't measure anything, you know I need to roll a 6-inch charge. Like, why are you nickel and diming fucking measurement? Like, I'm not knuckling down. Like, I hate that. That guy gets me out of my zone. And, like, I can't banter with you because you get defensive, you know? So, like, all my jokes fall flat at the table. You know, like, so I'm just like, I'm making a joke, and, like, you're angry at me now because I made a joke about a model or something. I'm like, I can't play that guy. And it's like, that's not a that guy, because there is a that guy who's, like, a different stereotype. It's just Mr. Fast and Loose, question everything you do, man, is, like, he plays fast and loose, and then it's your turn. He's just like, oh, I'm like, dude, like, I trusted you. Like, what, trust me.
Yeah.
You know,
is
like,
that something that you come across often?
Twice.
Like
Twice.
Okay.
Twice.
Even like just like the measuring thing. Like I mean, yeah, I want to be as close as I can, but like we know when we move 8 inches that we're gonna need a 4-inch charge.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
So like most people just like move it, and that I don't think I've ever had anyone question a distance that I've moved. I've had someone throw dice at their models to move them forward one time. And like roll his dice on top of his models and then knock him up and set him up further, and literally did it like 4 turns in a row of rolling. But other than that, I've never really had any arguments or controversy over measuring. So it's
yeah, my kryptonite is playing against an asshole. No, because I resonate with assholes. Like, we like become one mega asshole at the table, and it's fun because it's a different type of fun. Like, I can get on the asshole wavelength. If it's gonna be like super nickel and dimey the whole time, both ways, you know, that's a different type of game where you're really, everything has to be as precise and close as possible. The problem with like the guy I just described isn't that type of asshole. He's really fast and loose for himself, doesn't give a fuck about the rules, 420 blazes it, and then it's your turn, and now he questions everything. That was as much to Chad as it was to you at that point.
Yep, I saw it.
So it's like, it's not that like if you're an asshole, cool. Some people are just curt, you know? Like not everybody has like special, like, cares about broadcast and talking or has English degrees. Like some people just, you're playing with nerds. Some nerds are gonna nerd. You know, they're awkward. You're awkward, cool. Like, I will deal with that. Like, I don't know, like, me 20 years ago. Like, I get that person, like, where I'm just, like, really quiet and, like, taking it all in. I still switch into that. But it's, like, it's the, it's just, like, there's a particular sort where it's just, I played the Never 5 Getman, and he was that kind of player. Where I'm like, you're playing LON as well, and you suddenly don't know my spell ranges? You seem to have that shit memorized when you were playing it. Like, okay. Like, you know, I'm just rolling my eyes. Like, yeah, all right, man. You do you. And then the other one was I actually, that was just a bad game. Like, he kept checking his phone, and, like, apparently he was, like, having an argument with his wife on his phone while he was playing the game with me, and it was just, like, it was just not a pleasing game. And, like, yeah, I'm just like, cool, dude. Like, I get into the argument when I get home. Like, I got iced out by Molly for 2 weeks after Midwest Meltdown because I did not respond to a text for an entire day. Not even on lunch. I'm like, and that was bad on me, but I'm telling you, my commitment to giving you a good game at the table will throw my personal life into the shitter. Like, that's how much I want this game to be good.
Yeah, I don't even think about checking. Like, I skipped a fantasy football draft of 18 years of playing
You monster.
to engage in a NashCon game, and I didn't even the person who was drafting for me kept texting me, and I wouldn't even look at it. Like, I don't know. I feel like you make this huge effort to go to these things. Just take the 2 hours and give your opponent the same thing that you want back.
Yeah.
Unless you don't want that back, I guess, then please don't give me that. Give me something that I want, but...
Yeah. No, I mean, I actually do use the Azir app on my phone to look up war scrolls.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, and I'll actually say to my opponent, I'm not checking my tests. Like, if I'm standing there, like, looking at something, I'll be like, just so you know, I'm checking out Azir right now. I'm not like texting, because, like, I won't disrespect you that way. You know, I won a sports trophy, so I think I'm doing it right. No, it's like you respect your opponent, right? And you mentioned it, like, kind of show the same respect at the table that, like, show, you know, what type of game you want. Unless the type of game you want is to be like just a big prick, then don't be a prick.
Yep.
Man, chat, y'all are active tonight. I feel overwhelmed here.
And I like, so we're talking about asking questions.
No,
right?
asking. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. There is nothing wrong about asking questions. But I feel like it goes both ways, Tulu. Like, if you ask questions, be consistent that you're the person who asks questions. Because, like, if you're up and you're like, hey, this is my first tournament, I'll be like, I switch into, like, I helped Ty beat me, for fuck's sake. Like, at NashCon. I helped him beat me because he kept forgetting his Aether Quartz brooch. And so, like, I was reminding him of it, and, like, he had his, like, he forgot his shield guys in his deep strike, and I'm like, I know you meant to put them down. We're just both really tired and hungover. And I'm like,
yeah.
I don't, and it goes into, like, if I'm gonna beat you, I don't want to beat you because you basically cheated for me. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not that guy. Like, if I beat you, I want to beat you straight up. You know, that's just how I play. I may play a villain on TV, but I'm actually a really nice guy. And so, like, you know, like, so Ty, I'm like, you know, like, we had the shield fiasco and there's, like, Aether Quartz brooch. But then when he went on to win Best Destruction, I'm like, I did that. Like, I did that. Like, you know, because I felt like I helped him. I was his golden trampoline. I helped him check back into the games. You know, like get him thinking really tactically, because it, like, you know, he had to really, because I'm a pretty cerebral player. He had to check into the game and just start really thinking. And so his game rolls around, and he didn't do it on the podcast and give me nearly enough on the Playing and Slaying podcast.
He mentioned it.
Okay. I feel like he could have went on, like, a full, like, 10 minutes of how much I meant to him. No, I freaking love Ty. Like, I've never met somebody like once on accident and then become like an instant friend like that. Where it was like I hadn't even really met Ty when I ended up grudging him at Midwest Meltdown, and I'm like, we're best friends now, Ty. Like, like you don't know it, but we are. Yeah. So man, that was a long tangent.
That's what this is all about.
It is. It is. So I guess I think we kind of wrapped on the main subject of like gaming islands. Like to summarize, like when you're sort of gaming from your little island, like what's your summary? What's you're giving people advice? How do they stay engaged? How do they keep on top of it? How do they keep committed to the community and stuff? How do you stay as passionate? How do you stay just
I'd say it's two-part, right? So I'd say part of it is fine, is staying motivated, because when you're out on your own, and I'm not on my own, right? Like there's people around me that are invested in the hobby, but the people that I know very well and I'm comfortable with, I was, taken away from. So I think staying motivated comes from just maintaining those conversations, whether it's through social media or through Discord, hobby hangouts, things like that, and just taking the effort to share what you're doing. And it doesn't matter like if you're getting 10 likes on Twitter or 7,000 likes on Twitter, as long as like you're sharing what you're doing, that's going to keep yourself motivated in a way to keep pushing, to keep getting stuff done. But then you just have to keep trying, right? Like I've tried multiple times up here to get a community built, and not that I've done it all myself, but to stay present at the shop, go in, hang out, paint, talk about the game, try to give people advice on what I like about it, and not just the best net list on the internet and things like that, to get people in the hobby for the right reasons, and just making the effort to stay in touch with people. I think it's hard, right? Life is busy. Even some of my closest friends that I've known my whole life, I sometimes forget to call them for 3 or 4 weeks, but then when I remember, I do. And like, make the drive, make the effort to reach out and just stay in touch. And we all do this because we're passionate about it, and we all keep each other motivated by staying in touch. So
yeah. Yeah, I can't say it better, so I'm not going to say another word. There you have it. There's how you build your bridge off your island to kind of connect with others. You mentioned something earlier I wanted to circle back to now. You said, like...
It's exciting.
Huh?
This is exciting. It could be so many things.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like, I reapproached comics here. There's still more. There's so much more comics to talk if we feel like it. But no, you mentioned something like the tournament scene here and stuff like that, and you said maybe it's the Midwest. And I have something I want to pitch you on. So Gary Gygax is from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Okay, he is.
I trust you.
Okay. He's from and D&D was largely based, and his main friends from Minnesota that helped him co-create the game. And legend has it he basically invented D&D because one of his friends was sick in the hospital. And they were all fantasy nerds, and the predominant game at the time had been Chainmail, which is more of a minis war game. And they basically like, well, what if instead of zoomed out on the big army, you zoom in on kind of what Warcry is doing? You zoom in on, a single model, and then you play that, and that's a character, and then you go from there. And so, yes. Greenwood was in the hospital for heart surgery, and so they basically invented D&D so that they could this storytelling format where they could go and sit and play a game. And so like basically took the Chainmail and they zoomed it in, and that's pretty much the inception of D&D. Yeah, Chainmail. We're going way old school on these references here. And so I have something I call the Gygax effect. And I think gamers in the Midwest are a cut above the rest on account of this Gygax effect. For me, modern gaming was born here. And it's not that, like, we're better at it than you, even though we are better at it than you. It's not that. It's that, like, it gets really fucking cold, and what are you going to do? Go hang out in somebody's basement and throw dice. Like,
Yeah.
like it's just... there is something to be said for like the hardened people of like Wisconsin, Minnesota, you know, Illinois. Like we're just like you get used to those cold winters and like you need something to like to just occupy your mind. So I just think we're tuned to gaming, like culturally speaking, even if there aren't a ton of nerds obvious to you. I just think that whatever happens in the Midwest, it tunes us towards this gaming lifestyle where we're open to like sort of playing a game with somebody and just like you know going to a store or going to their house and just playing this game. And I think that's why the Midwest scene is as good as it is, as strong as it is. We have a lot more tournaments here too than some other places in terms of size. You know, I'm sure like you know East Coast, West Coast, or wherever you have an LGS that's running a 30-man tournament every weekend, but we have Midwest Meltdown, Adepticon, like the Holy Wars, like it just NashCon 60 people, like it keeps there's just always a tournament. You could probably never leave the Midwest and hit a tournament a month of at least 30 people, if not 50.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then now we're spiking like good 100-person events. And the UK, I know they've got some like really really big and consistent ones too, but like your company's housed over there. They put a lot more into marketing. You don't win.
They actually market this company in that country, so it doesn't count.
Doesn't count. Yeah, like it's very community driven over here, and in that respect, you have a strong community from this like what I call the Gygax effect, which is D&D was born here. Chainmail even, you know, relatively. If he managed his company a little bit better, like instead of Walmart, you would still have TSSR or whatever, or TSR and stuff. His old company, I think. So, I guess that was a little bit more of a the more you know segment than a question. But you've been getting into D&D a lot lately, and I think that helps me with my general isolation. Not particularly with Age of Sigmar, but like I run a Roll20 campaign. It's been going 4 years now, maybe 5 years. The same group of people. We've added one person, we dropped one person, but it's the same core group for 4 years now. We're on the second sort of half of it. The first set was 4 characters, levels 1 through 20. They told the complete story, and now we're in the same world 100 years after the events of what their party did.
Nice.
And or well, 300 years I think it might be. I have my timeline somewhere. And so it's like they've made new characters and they're playing through like essentially the world they helped create. And so we've been going strong, and I know that like getting through my week is like improved by the fact that I know on Saturday or Sunday, we switch which day it is, I have a group of people that are like that need me to run the game, or like there's no, you know, like I've ruined somebody's week if I don't run my D&D session, right? How did you? Because you're mentioning you got into, you know, you had your raw cards and comics and stuff like that, and you kind of like stumbled into Age of Sigmar. How'd you get into D&D, and how recent was that?
Oh, that's even more recent. So D&D, like I was raised a nice Catholic boy, and my dad despised
the Satanic Panic. You'd have been the height of,
and it wasn't even really that.
It was the tail end of it.
It was, well, he was a big sports guy, and like really was the one who pushed me to play basketball, and like, you know, whatever. It's fine. I didn't have a bad experience with my dad pushing me to sports instead of it wasn't
the vicariously go do this so I can relive my glory days guy. No. It's just
he was a baseball guy, I was a basketball guy, so he didn't force me into that. But I mean, I'm very thankful. I had scholarships for basketball, and I had tons of experiences with basketball, so all that is great. But I wasn't like storytelling as a whole really, like, it was never even like a thing that my parents knew about, I guess. I mean, like, they read me books and I read books, but there was no storytelling or creative writing or any of that kind of stuff in my childhood at all. I think I don't even know if I had a creative writing class in high school. So like there was no.
Oh, you cut me deep, man. You cut me deep.
I know. Beaver Dam letting me down. But so I didn't have that option at all. I didn't even, if I'm being honest, really know anything about it. Like I knew it was a thing where people rolled dice in their basements and fought dragons. That's what D&D was to me.
Sold.
And yeah, no,
Sold.
sold, sure.
Like,
Um, so that was that, and I went through high school, went through college. Nothing. AOS happened, and then like right around that time was like, oh, who's this Matthew Mercer guy, and what is Critical Role, and what is this stream, and what is this stream, and I started to listen to these podcasts, and I was like, this is like everything that I wished Game of Thrones was. Why have I not known about this my whole life? And I had just got started to get to know Ty at this point, and Ty is a huge D&D guy, and I always would say to him, Ty, I really want to do just a game of D&D. Like I don't know what that means, I don't know what it entails, but I want to do it. And it was the first Brew City. We were sitting at the bar on the Friday night before, and he's like, you know what? We're gonna start a campaign. And I was like, this is the greatest gift ever. I'd gone through some stuff in my life where I just kind of needed that escape, and I needed the opportunity to
be someone else.
Just have a night of this is what I'm doing, and the rest of the things around me don't matter. And it just happened. And the first game, I was like, oh god, I'm gonna make a fool of myself. I'm playing with 5 people that have played before, and some of them have played for 30 years, and so I'm like, oh, I'm like messaging Ty for weeks in advance, like, is this good enough? How much more of a backstory do I have to write? Like, how much of this, and like, what do I need to know? And so, in a panic that I'm not going to be good enough to play D&D, and we play in the first night. I'm like, okay, that was pretty cool, and then we play again the next week, and it's holy cow. And then I'm like at work typing up more backstory and typing up like why I chose to do this and all this stuff, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. Like, you kind of mentioned it, right? But like the escape is cool, but the ability to just kind of create your own world, and like Ty does all the work. I just create my stupid characters that piss him off and have fun. But it's just a great opportunity to just have fun, and like it's like nothing I've ever done before, and I've absolutely loved every second of it.
This is a hot take for the ages here. I play other games because I can't play D&D every day.
Yeah, yep. I would play 6 days a week if I could, and I would just not play the last one because I'd need to make sure my notes were in order for the next day to start.
I did in college, and like my grades were suffering. I ran 2 games. I ran the Sunday night game, which actually was like the chill game. No, it was the Monday night game was the chill game, and then Wednesday was my main game. But like Monday was just a 2-person game. Or no, 3 people were in it, and then me GMing it. It was a D20 modern game. D20 at that time was on the 3.0 system. So you haven't played 3.0 yet, but 3.0 is like 3.0 puts hair on your chest. I know AD&D probably puts more hair on your chest, which I second ed, but like 3.0 is where like they started to modernize the game to my mind, and like it had a lot of like the quirks of saber dies killing you constantly and all the time forever, but also like weird infinite combos for like feat combinations, and like so I made a monk that could attack infinitely because he had circle kick, roundabout kick, and he had a couple things to make it keep going. As long as he had bad guys to keep hitting, he could hit everything forever. But like he wasn't good. So like I made this trick where he could attack forever, but it was like D6 damage, D6 damage. And so if something had DR or damage resistance as it used to be, which reduced the amount of incoming damage per attack by a flat number, so like 5/dash or something like that. So like he only does a D6 damage and you're reducing it by 5 every time. He's only doing like 1 even though he attacks infinitely. Like it was just like he was a terrible character, but it was like can I even make this a thing? And then I did. So 3.0 is like where my rules lawyering really came together as like a player, and it's carried me into Age of Sigmar, but that's like a negative connotation in Age of Sigmar, and in there even in D&D, it's a little bit of negative in connotation. So I'd like to more call it a rules innovator than a rules lawyer. Um, I'm a rules innovator. Like, I have in 5th ed, there's a netter build I made, which I will unveil it on the party at some point in one of my campaigns. But the whole thing is I found a way to throw, like, an absurd amount of nets per turn. And so he's, like, going to be this guy who walks in like a gunslinger with just, like, instead of guns and, like, ammo bullets, it's just, like, nets on his belt. He's just like... and he just, like... And it's all because they wrote one thing poorly once. And so, like, and that's all it takes is for them to just have the wrong wording on something. Like, forget to distinguish, like, you call something a ranged attack, and then something says, when you make a ranged attack, and that, I'm in. I also had in 3.0, switching gears back to 3.0, and one of my favorite characters I ever made was something called the Deepwood Scyther. So... for those of you in the home game, you are watching the stream from home, you may be familiar with a class called a Deepwood Sniper. So Deepwood Sniper is supposed to be this bow class, and their whole thing is they just, like, they can see through all of the trees, they deny cover saves, so, like, you don't get cover against them because they just have peerless sight, and so they just shoot, cover is meaningless, and they get really, really good crit ranges. And there was a feat called Throw Anything. Now, throw anything, you can make a ranged attack with anything. Now, so basically you make anything a ranged weapon. Now, some things very specifically said a bow, but not everything did. And so I took a scythe, because scythes had ×4 crit, which means when you rolled a natural 20, they did ×4 damage instead of your standard ×2. So I took a scythe because, or no, it was ×3. But by the end of it, he was critting on a 12 to 20, doing something like a 12 to 20, doing ×9 damage. And he would throw like 10 scythes a turn just fishing for crits. And so, like, all of his, he just had these iron scythes that had returning, and so, like, you'd fight him and he just like and, like, it's just the dumbest thing ever. And so, like, I like D&D is like, you have these like little thought experiments, but for me then, like, it really comes back to the story, is like telling a story. And like, if I make that netter character and he moseys into a bar, you want to know what the heck is up with the guy who throws 6 nets a turn, you know, like like, and so it always comes back to like basically, like, weird characters are an excuse to tell a good story. Like, I was just having a conversation with a gentleman on Twitter today. Hang on, I want to get the name correct here. Here we go, Marlon. With Marlon here on Twitter, and he made this all started because I think Ty asked the question: if you were to make a party of 5 characters and it all had to be one class, what would you do? You know, Paladins is an early front runner. Someone said Cleric, and then this.
That's Tom's dream, is to run a 5 cleric party.
5 cleric party. Well, and so this gentleman was talking about his arcane cleric, so arcane domain cleric, and he's a Gith Sarai. I don't know if you've encountered them yet in your games with Ty, but they're the planar. Look, they remind me of like frog or lizard people, but like they're like sort of Oriental inspired. You know, like pseudo-Asian, like interplanar beings, green and scaly, and Gith Sarai tend to be bald, and Gith Yankee tend to have huge plumes of like gold or of like gray or silver hair, and they carry like these silver rapiers and stuff, or silver scimitars. Sorry, they're really cool. And he's like, okay, so I'm a Gith Sarai cleric with the arcane, and I'm just like, that tells a story. That combination of things. So you're like a divine caster, but you're focused on the arcane domain, and you're from another plane. Tell me more. Tell me more about your character. Like, I view, like I said, like, rules and character building as an excuse to tell me a good story. Like, why did Leroy have to be a monk? You know, like, Leroy could have been a fighter. And if you haven't watched the one shot, Brice is in one of my one shots. He made
show me a fighter that can noodle, and then I'll believe you.
All right. But that's the thing, is like you like the way that like Leroy the monk has like slow fall now, and like, and just it begins to like, it all makes sense. Like, he's noodling in the pond, and you know, or in the lake or river, and pulling out catfish and stuff with his like bare hands. I'm like, of course this guy would have flurry of blows. So I D&D is a story is like a good storytelling avenue. It's also got that camaraderie, but it's more of a micro scale. It's not like Age of Sigmar where you go out and into like a big community and you see a bunch of people. It's usually your 5 people or your 4 people. Um, Critical Role has done some great things for Dungeons and Dragons. I think the amount of interest in it is higher than it's ever been. But now I want people to like start loving some of the other RPGs out there. D&D is great, but like, I Aetherium I think is the one Ty pushes a lot. I'm a huge Rifts and Palladium Books guy. Um, Palladium Books is located out of Detroit. Their rules are terrible, uh, but their setting is amazing. And the only reason I don't run it is because we have like a common lexicon. When I say fighter, you know what a fighter is. You know, like Rifts doesn't have a common lexicon with RPGs as people would know it. You could be like, oh, you're a Cyber Knight. It's kind of like a fighter paladin, but like that he's got fucking robot like armor grafted onto his body, and he can make a psychic sword, and then you start to like start to continue to describe what a Cyber Knight is, and they're like, well, does he ride a horse? I mean, you can have a horse to start, but if you want, it could be a sweet motorcycle or an ATV. Like, and so just like it starts to get like, you know, like it just you jump the shark with riffs, but that's why I love it because it's just over the top and crazy. You know what, Tristan, you're the enemy. Pan Nation design is great. I'm so happy they applied it successfully to Ossiarch Bone Reapers, the new best army in Age of Sigmar.
Oh, jeez. I was hoping we could get through the whole thing without hearing that once.
Not once.
Yeah.
Tristan started it. So D&D, you've been going on like a year now with your D&D campaign. Is it the same campaign now?
So it's more than a year now. So it's almost a year and a half. And we started with Tomb of Annihilation, and we actually just finished the Tomb of Annihilation, not last session, but the session before. So that we defeated the Soulmonger curse, and Asarak may have slipped through our grasp, but it's kind of a cool story that he did, because Derek, who was our rogue, played by Paul, the brother of Merrick, a rogue also played by Paul, who had a very early death in our campaign because he tried to steal a frost giant's ear.
Okay.
So yeah, he did that and died instantly. Basically, he cut the half giant or the frost giant's ear off, and was trying to run away, but they killed him. So then he rerolled a character named Derek, who was the brother of Merrick that hated frost giants, and Derek made it a lot longer than Merrick. And my character, who was gifted very early on the deck of many things, and I also had the character flaw of never being able to pass up an opportunity to gamble. Thanks, Ty. But it was a super cool experience to have it, and he did pull one punch for sure from the deck, but the others I was able to kind of like at least give some sort of way to survive, and I'm getting way off track, but that's what this is for.
Keep going.
So we got I drew like I drew 9 cards, right? There's 15 cards in the deck, right? That sounds right.
Sounds about right.
So I draw 9, and I got, I'm getting around these things. I lost all my stuff. I had some bad stuff happen, and then I had some good stuff happen. But then Derek, who was our party member, I made a deal with him that he could draw 1 card for something. I can't remember what the cause was, but so I let him draw a card, and he drew the Vizier, which makes the DM tell you truthfully the answer to any one question that you ask at any point in the game, and he has to tell you
the truth.
The truth. Yeah. So we're just about to go into the Tomb of Annihilation. We're in the broken city around it, and we came across some whelps or something. I don't know, kobolds, and the king kobold demanded a tribute. And I pulled the deck out, and I'm like, I have this magical deck, and then I put it back, and Derek's like dragging me back out of the the cave where the kobold is, and he's like, "We're gonna do this," and he asks, "How many cards do we need to draw before the donjon?" Which is the one card at this point that we know is left that I can't do anything to escape. Basically, it puts you in an alternate dimension, and you can't be contacted with anything other than a wish spell, and you can't be brought back with anything other than a wish spell. So we're talking 2 wishes at this point. I had already drawn the wish card and got a wish from it, and blew it on giving our barbarian a flaming axe. So Paul asks, and Ty says, "Oh, you have to draw 5 cards in order to get to the donjon." So I look at Derek and I'm like, "I'll draw 3." and Derek looks back and says, "Okay, I'll draw 2." Draw a card, and it's the gain a level card. So I'm a level higher.
Woo!
And all is well.
Feeling great.
Paul draws a card, and it's the devil or the demon. I forget the name of it specifically, but basically he's acquired an arch nemesis that's a demon, and it's going to kill him at some point. It doesn't necessarily, unless he defeats it. So the only way to escape the curse of this demon is if you kill the demon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever.
Cool, plot arc. Awesome.
Bad.
Yeah, that's badass.
Yeah. Okay, next card I draw. I forget the name of it, but it switches my alignment. So I'm chaotic good. So it switches me to chaotic evil. Whatever. There's spells that can change that, and it would have been pretty fun to play this crazy character as a chaotic evil character and a bunch of good people on my side. Okay. Interesting. And then the next card I have to draw, because I said I would draw 3. The card's the Fool, which reads, "You instantly lose 1 level." And that's how Ty starts. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever. I just gained a level. This is great." The donjon's there for the kobold to draw. And he says, "And you must immediately draw another card." So there's no way around it. I have to do it. And if you don't draw within an hour, it automatically happens. You automatically have the effect of the card. So I'm like, shoot. If we would have just asked what we had to do to make him draw it, he would have had to say. And so I lose my character.
It was a heartbreaking moment for me, and
yeah.
I was removed from the whole experience.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, this is the first character, and I really loved playing him, and like it wasn't optimized at all. It was a ranger that I didn't know anything about doing, and already not a super powerful class, right? And so I'm like,
UA fixes it. In my campaign, I'm running one of my characters is playing a UA ranger from Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah,
she's good. She's this is Katie. She plays Pippa on my stream. She's their main DPS. Like it's good. They fixed it. So
yeah,
but I continue.
So I'm super bummed, and I'm like, okay, I messaged Ty, and so my character had a pet badger named Truffle Hunter, so we started this campaign basically the same week I adopted Odin, who is my Corgi, who's not here on camera, but so this badger is basically modeled after my dog, and I'm like, okay, just let Truffle Hunter kill this kobold, and we're all good. So he lets Truffle Hunter, who's not a combat, just a vanity pet, and lets Truffle Hunter tear this kobold up, and Rattle shuts his eyes and goes into this other plane and is stuck there. But the rest of the party then decides, in Rattle's memory, we're going to draw the next 5 cards in the deck to be done with it. They talked about destroying it or drawing it, and Derek was like, the only right thing to do would be to draw it. So Tom's character draws first and gets all the gold. Brendan's character draws and loses his magical items, but he doesn't have any magical items, so it doesn't change anything. There was one other card that was drawn, and I can't remember what it did. And the last card that's drawn is Derek, who's Paul's character that I was very close with. And it's the fighter. So basically, he gets a companion that fights at his side that's a level 5 fighter. And Paul instantly messaged me and says, "Hey, do you want to take this character and have it be your next character?" And I'm like, "Yep." So I rolled a new character who was and Tiamat, and not knowing what Tiamat was in D&D, it was just
The god. You didn't know
scale
about the 5.
75. Yeah, it's a scale 75 color Tiamat orange. So I was like, yeah, I want my character to be named Tiamat. And then I bought this book about a year later.
Are you still playing Tiamat?
So we're getting there. We're getting there. Sorry.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
RantCast.
No. Keep going. No, I'm loving it.
So yeah. So I roll up Tiamat, who's a Eldritch Knight, and just I'm like, not at first I hated it. I couldn't do anything. I was terrible in combat. But then as I started getting levels, I got very, very strong, and that's not why I liked it. But it was, a little added bonus to do 120 damage a turn.
Interrupting you once here.
Yep.
If your character is optimized, you get to kill stuff fast so that you can get back to the story.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, continue.
So I rolled Tiamat, and my whole thing was that I was Derek's nephew, but they didn't know I was his nephew, and I was the son of Merrick, the original character of Paul's that died, and I was sent here to earn my father's name, and like I was kind of secluded from my mother growing up, and then a whole backstory, whatever, and So Derek doesn't know that I'm his brother, but I'm there to protect him and all this stuff. And we get in the tomb, and bad stuff keeps happening. And Tiamat and Derek were both very risky, but Tiamat in the first level of the tomb picked up one of the items, the cursed items that put one of the spirits of the original deity gods from Omu into your mind, and basically was like, it kind of like influenced your decision. So mine was, I had to second guess everything I wanted to do and never act in haste, which was the exact opposite of how I played my character.
Oh,
it
no.
Been any opposite. So I'm like struggling hardcore as Derek's doing all this stuff, and I want so bad to help him and make sure nothing happens. And every time Ty would let me roll, and if I rolled an 18, I could make a Constitution check and act freely on my own will, but otherwise I had to listen to what Obawaka was telling me. So I can't really protect Derek at this point, and then we're on the last level of the tomb, or I think it was, and Derek we got stuck in some kind of alternate prison, and Derek got a dagger, or got snuck off somewhere, and there was a genie, a Dinjin. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Dinjin.
Genie, yeah, and basically she was trapped, and he made a deal with her that she would tell him the location of Rattle if he let her free. Or no, he would get the party to Rattle and back if he let her free. And so he takes the deal and whatever, and takes and there's a dagger that he can use to summon her, but also use in combat, and it's a +2 magical dagger, so of course he's going to use it. The problem was it was cursed. And if he fell to 0 hit points while holding it and didn't pass, I believe, a Constitution check or something, his soul was trapped in the dagger.
All right, fun.
So he has this dagger. We're on level 3. We get to level 4, almost to the part where we're like done with exploring and ready to go and finally stop this curse. And we are in the last tomb, and there's teleportation chambers, and we step onto one of them, get teleported out, and there's mirror, this like prison mirror of some sort, where if you look at it, you have to pass another save, and if you don't, you get put in this prison. And so myself and Derek and 2 of our other players got stuck in this. And long story short, Derek called the genie to his side using the dagger and said, "I want you to free Tiamat from this prison." At this point, he had figured out from some slip-ups on my part that I was his nephew, and he was trying to free me. And I was also, fluent in arcane magic, so if anyone could get us out, it was going to be me. So I get out, and I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm calling all these numbers because you had to use the magic word and a number to bring one of 15 random things out of this prison.
Okay.
And I didn't know any of the things that were already brought out or what was in there. And so I bring out a giant, an ogre, some other stuff that's like hostile towards us. And finally, I bring out something bad. And Tom, the whole time, is using the Wand of Wonder. And he's using charges from the Wand of Wonder. And he rolled up the one that destroys something in the room that isn't possessed by someone. Well, there's nothing in the room except for the mirror. And Ty's like, I can't kill two characters that aren't here. If I just destroy the mirror and they're stuck, I'm an asshole. But if I destroy the mirror and I let everything out, okay. So he does that, destroys the mirror, and this all
See,
this
I
stuff.
wasn't up on this. There was a hand wave in my sponsored segment on
This was
Playing and
before the
Slaying.
official sponsorship. This was
Okay.
before they brought me on to do the recaps. As you can see, this is all from memory, by the way. No notes.
Yeah, this is why you do this. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So mirror breaks, right? He lets everything out. There's two neutral parties in there. One's a wizard and one is like just a worthless like peasant type person. And then there's this badass that comes out, and I can't remember her name, but she's not hostile towards us yet. And then there's another something bad that we dispose of quickly. And Derek is pissed that he was stuck and like, oh, okay. So Akachi, our barbarian, gets slain because he got in this lady's way who's trying to walk away, and he had taken something earlier in the dungeon that belonged to her. It was some kind of mace or something like that. So she kills him in like one go, and Akachi's like, our barbarian, pretty tough dude, terrible armor class, but can survive pretty well. Not so much when this happens. So she slays him, grabs the mace, and starts walking away. Derek is like, what the heck? And attacks her. She turns around and kills Derek like instantly.
Oof.
And he has this dagger. And I quick time out to Ty, and I'm like, I don't know if this is kosher for the way that this game works, but Tiamat's taken this because. So Derek has this dagger. He's got to roll. He rolls and fails. And I'm like, no, please. This is like, I'm here.
I was made for this moment.
This is like what he was brought here to do. And Ty's like, okay, well, we'll end the episode, right? So we end the episode at this moment. And Paul, Ty, and I talk it through, and I'm like, look, I will fight this till the end. It needs to happen this way. It's literally like the purpose of me making this character, and so Paul's like, okay, if that's what you want, and so it happens, and it had to do this really cool scene where like Tiamat's whole thing was obsessed with fire, and as I found out what Tiamat actually was, I started to make him like the good parts of the dragon of Tiamat that are embodied in him, and he is trying to write the course of Tiamat. So like he's obsessed with fire and all this stuff, and like he's captured in a ball of fire, and his soul is put in this dagger, and so he's stuck in there, and Derek is kind of losing his shit the next day, and we go forward and go through the dungeon, and the Tiamat had found this cursed fireball necklace that it was like 8 fireballs worth of damage if the user put it on.
Yeah.
And Tiamat knew what it was and was saving it because he knew that he would have to make the sacrifice at some point. So Derek takes it from his body before my new character comes, who's there to literally save Tiamat's body, to protect it and send it back to his mom, so that if things happen the way I think they're going to happen, I can go back and play Tiamat. Paul lights his body on fire before I can get to him, kills him. So whatever, Ty's like, you can find a new body, it'll be fine, and all this stuff.
I mean, it's a little appropriate though if he was obsessed with fire and then he ends up like funeral pyred. It's actually like super appropriate.
Yep.
Poetic even.
Yeah. So all that happens. Whatever. We get to the end. We get to the very end. We destroy the curse. We're now fighting Asarak and a demigod, and kill the god, and then Asarak is there, who's the ultimate bad guy, right? And Derek runs and jumps across this balcony, puts the necklace on, blows himself up, almost killing Asarak. But as he dies, his soul gets trapped in the dagger. Asarak picks it up, walks through the portal, and teleports away.
Dang.
So the villain lives, and he's got the 2 souls of probably the 2 most active party members with him. So
that's pretty metal. That's super metal.
Yeah.
So Ty, he pretty much runs modules, but he seems to like freestyle a little bit as he goes with it.
So yeah, he's done homebrews. He did a module for us because he thought it would be easier because of the structure and having it in Roll20 and having all the maps. but he is now doing the rest of the campaign, which we continued as a homebrew. So as far as I know, I think there's talk of another module possibly being kind of in like blended in, but we just had our first in-person game and went to the keep that Rattle was gifted with the deck of many things and slayed all the frost giants that occupied it, and now
Sweet vengeance.
yeah, and Truffle Hunter is the rightful king at this point.
It's fantastic.
So,
Chat AMA real quick. I'm gonna go grab another beer and go to the restroom. What's one
Yeah.
question for Tristan? Or Tristan, do you have a question for Brice here? Or does anyone in the chat have a question for Brice? It could be AOS related. Hopefully AOS related, but potentially D&D related. We had a great tangent here. Because I got a D&D question when I get back. But I also got to go grab a treat for Mochi. She's been
deserved.
She's been a good doggo. All right, so watch chat. I expect
I'll
a question
watch
to come
chat.
through. I'm going to go grab another beer.
I'll be heartbroken if there's no question.
If there's no question, I'm going to be upset because this gives me an incentive to watch my own content later. Yes, I said the word treat. I know. Hang on, Mochi. Stay still.
Oh, we got a subscription when the streamer walked away. That's even better. You're subscribing for me, Tristan. I get it. I'm not like Andrew, though. I can't just talk to myself. Okay, here's a question. What are the details on this escalation that we are now doing? The details are, you tell me the allegiance that you want to do. I'm assuming it's Tomb Kings. And then we paint up 500 points. And since it's kind of tough for us to play in person, we can do it more of a narrative-driven story where we can tell the story of what our armies are building towards and the stories of the battles that we can't even have. But also, as we grow, it's every month then 250 more points. So basically a unit and a half, 2 units. You don't have to keep the same things. You can add brand new units. The only rule is you have to keep the same allegiance. I didn't even require the same general. I'll be keeping the same general through the whole thing because it thematically makes sense, but it's super open. That was the thing. I wanted it to be something where no matter what you were trying to build towards, you could participate. So I got plenty of ideas for how we can make it awesome from a distance too. So I'd love to have you in. I see there's another question. So are you on the Playing and Slaying podcast? I am. I'm Stanley. I am the intern. I am the executive producer, vice president, and something else that was gifted to me in the last episode. I'm a relatively new member of the podcast. I make appearances often. It seems to be I'm on all the time now, but it's now kind of my thing, and I'm happy that they've accepted me into the team. So. Let's see. How do you think the meta will change with the new cities book, as a lot of the armies are shooters? I think that. So, if you don't know me, behind me I have about every order unit that there is at this point, and I'm a huge order guy. I'm so excited for the cities book and the opportunities that it grants. I think that it will drastically change the meta, not just because of the shooting, but just because of the variety. I think that the cities themselves will stay kind of in theme with what they are now, as far as like the idea behind them. But I think that the customization that we'll have within the cities and between the cities is just crazy. So I think it will drastically change. I think that shooting has a place right now, and it should be more relevant than it is. But I think that it definitely will when the cities book comes out. You're in, Tristan. That's what we like to see. I've only heard 2 episodes. I love that you listen. We do our best to do something different, right? Like everyone can talk about the books that come out and the AOS content and that kind of stuff. So we talk about AOS, we talk about other games, we talk about D&D. We just kind of try to keep it new and fresh and different all the time. So I'm glad you've enjoyed it.
Ah,
Look who's back.
yeah, Playin' and Slayin' is one of my absolute favorite podcasts, not just AOS wise in general, and it is because it does a little bit of what I'm trying to do here, and I hope Ty and and uh, and the Coop Man and all of them will forgive me, but like I like looking at like sort of AOS adjacent things as well because I think the game does extend beyond just Age of Sigmar. Like it is about those like sort of overlapping spheres I mentioned before, where like you find out someone likes comics and so on and so forth. I love that it's just like it's a gaming podcast disguised as an AOS podcast, and that's one of my favorite aspects about it. Like there's they don't ever like I've buried at this point we've buried the lead. We have for like 30 minutes not been an AOS podcast, but but I have to be honest to myself is I have to you know, I have to. I just games. What's the one of the worst things you can say to a gamer is it's just a game. You know, it's not just a game. D&D, Age of Sigmar, even like my favorite video games. They're not just games to me because so much of like, you know, kind of who I am intersects with them, and so like that feels kind of rough because you're saying it's just a game, and I'm like, you know, like as a football fan like or as basketball is more pertinent right now because I'm currently struggling with it. I've checked out. Like I've barely checked back into the NFL now. But like usually I switch into Brewers mode the instant the NBA season's over. I switch into Brewers mode. Baseball.
Hey, I'm gonna interrupt you really quick.
Yeah.
Tristan, absolutely yes, you should crack a beer. You should have at least cracked 3 by this point.
Yeah, by my count, I'm not going to count the one I drank off stream. 4. No, it was like oh crap, Tristan did the sub thing. Thank you so much for that, buddy.
I already thanked him. As soon as you stood up, he did it, and I said, "Look at that, he leaves. You're really subscribing to me."
Yeah, thank you for subbing to thank you so much for subbing to Brice, my hobby hero. Mochi, want a treat? No, we gotta get dog cam. Oh, dog cam. Treat.
Oh. It's funny to watch with the delay, because now I see I'm ready for the treat.
There you go. Oh, it's a good treat. There you go. Tristan paid for the treat. Now you get Corgi Butt as a thank you. Good dog. Good doggo. Now she's all riled up. She's become treat Mochi. All right, we're good. Oh, you switch sides on me. If I go to this side. All right. No, so like that, I like it. That's one of my big podcasts. There's a reason I shouted out to it on Warhammer Weekly. It's great. You guys do good work. The part where like I really got into it was actually when you talked about your previous character's death. Like that was where I'm like I'm fucking hooked because I heard like the deck of many things. I was like hooked from that moment on, and so. When you guys record versus when you guys have sessions, you usually have more sessions than you have episodes. So like
Yeah.
And sometimes like the important thing happens on the off week of the recording. And so like I have these little gaps in my information. Not that I'm like complaining. It's like watching like any TV show when you were growing up as a kid, like X-Men's a good example. Like you missed the to be continued episode, and now you're just like in a new story arc, and you're like, what's going on? Oh my god! And it just like hooks you even more. So it's great. Don't change what you're doing. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed the like that addition to the podcast because like it's funny to try to think back in the moment on what happened, and then like the arguments, not arguments, but the banter that can happen from it, like me yelling at Troy for wanting to take long rests, or like making fun of Josh for getting turned into a statue and stuff like that we can't do in the moment, but
Yes.
It's fun to like look back on it and be like, that was really stupid. And like and when I say stupid, I don't mean like the choices that the person, Paul or Josh or Troy, are making, but their character, like them as a role player is making a great choice by
Well, they're
having
super
their character
committed.
do this stupid thing.
Oh yeah.
Like I said in 2 podcasts ago or whatever, like Paul did something really stupid, and I should have said Derek did something really stupid, but what his character should have and would have done, because like Paul did a great job, Derek did a very stupid thing, and like that shows your dedication to the story and what you're doing, right? If you're making choices that are truly jeopardizing your character's ability to help or to live or to successfully roll, you're caring more about the story than
You're really committed. Yeah, you're committed to the story and the experience and stuff like that, not just like getting the next level. And that's what really adds to. They're not dissimilar. Your look at Age of Sigmar and D&D. Like the narrative focus of D&D is really what's got you hooked, and with Age of Sigmar, you look at an army as like what story I can tell, and not necessarily what filth can I bring. And I respect that so much. It's weird because like I have a different gaming circle, and I see a lot of like. So you have the deck of many things thing happen. I can't do a deck of many things in my parties. No one in my group will touch it because they're all like seasoned veterans of the game, and so they just
I'd
like
do it again in a heartbeat. I mean, it just was like I had no idea what it did, right? And that was one of my favorite things about it is when he gave it to me, Tom and Brendan were like, "No, you didn't." And I was like, "What? It's just a deck." And I'm like, "I like gambling. I have this deck I play high-low with. It makes sense." And then like I forced them all to not tell me a thing that was in it. So the whole time that every card I drew, Ty was like, and he'd pause and he'd read the name, and I'd be like, fuck, is that good or bad? Is that good or bad? And then he'd slowly read what it did. And I don't know. Like I knew I was gonna die. I said it. I lasted 2 months with it, and I kept saying like I'm gonna go. Like I know it's gonna happen. It. From what I've heard, this is really bad, and I didn't care. It was my character is an introvert gambler. Of course he's going to want the deck of many things, and of course he's going to draw from it. I was proud that I could make it last 2 months and not draw them all that first night.
Well,
so.
you drew out the experience for everyone too, like by doing that, which is great. Mochi hiding in the corner now from the thing. That's actually her spot. That's usually where she lays. Her bed used to be over there. Mochi wants another treat. That's what she wants. You don't get another treat till we get another subscription. We're extorting people now. So like, you actually you with Leroy, you the T-Rex scene when you fought the weird bio T-Rex. I'm like, this is gonna kill this character. I'm like, this is where this character dies. Like as a GM, I'm just like. And, like, you rolled hot. You were running hot that day in my set.
Yeah.
There were a lot of those moments where you should have just died.
Yeah. I rolled, 6 natural 20s that night?
Oh, my God. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was 6 sounds about right. It was a good amount. And, like, I think each player had about one. Was Spikey playing that game? Yeah, Spikey was the Captain America cosplayer.
Yes.
He didn't roll. I don't think he rolled one. But, like, that's why I like to do the one-shots, because they're just, like, they're all silly. The whole point is for them to be that part of D&D that's weird and is to, like, kind of, like, condense it into one session real quick. That's why the plots are always kind of inane, so that you can really get into, like, because you don't have a lot of time to like, figure out your character and, like, fall in love with it and stuff like that, like you do with a proper D&D session. So the one-shots, I kind of take the silly thing, because it's really easy to get silly pretty quick, you know?
Treat.
Oh no. All right, now. Thank you so much for the sub. Mochi, our extortion worked. Do you like another treat? Can you sit? Sit. That's a good Mochi.
While he gives a treat, we can answer the chat questions. Here we go. Tristan, we can chat about escalation anytime. Skype, Discord, or phone call. I don't care. And yeah, that's it. That's all the questions. Look at that.
Yeah. So I think we're actually, like, at the point where we're wrapping up. We've gone 2 hours 13 minutes of proper.
Though, what if I want to beat Tristan's length?
Oh, if you want to beat Tristan's length, if you want to beat his high score of like 247.
Yeah.
I've got more topics.
All right, let's go.
Okay. Oh, you see that, Tristan? You've been called out, my dude. All I've got all the content in the world. Yeah. So, um, I kind of wanted to talk about your Orgot's Damon Spew here, because you've talked a lot about the Escalation League itself, and I mentioned you were a hobby hero, but like, I kind of wanted to talk about this dude because I see you're rocking the Scale 75s. I see you've got a compressor right behind you.
Yeah.
How much dry brushing or how much airbrushing do you do in your just process?
On this model or like as a
General, a
hobby?
general, and then we'll kind of go into the specifics. So general first.
Yeah, so I prime everything. I prime with an airbrush. I think that's like if you don't have an airbrush and you need to be convinced, just buy one because it makes priming so much better. You'll never have a problem with the rattle can. You'll never have to go outside. You won't have to spray in your bathroom or something.
In
So
winter, yeah, like
yeah,
winter rolls
yeah,
around. Yep. Yeah.
yeah. So that I mean that in itself is probably 40% of what I use the airbrush for. I now that I know I'm more proficient with it, I do all my base coating with it, and I always zenithal. So I prime, I zenithal, and I base coat every model that I paint, other than metallics. With the airbrush, I still hand paint on the metallics.
Do you
Don't
do?
know why, but
Are you doing non-metallic metals for your metallics, or
no,
you do?
no,
Okay.
nope. I've not yet decided to do that.
You haven't dipped your toe in just yet. Okay.
Yeah, I think at some point, like I'll do one of those armies like Mitzi and try to drive myself insane and paint an entire. Maybe it was Jimbo. I think it was Jimbo who did the. One of the two of them did the Stormcast army, or Oscar Lars. Like one day I'll feel crazy enough to paint a 2,000 point army in non-metallics, but
Someone
not
did
at this.
the Chromecast Eternals was freaking insane. Did you see those?
Yes, yes, I did.
Like I like that. There's that part of you that's just like blown away when you see a model that well painted, and then there's also that part of you that boils inside with resentment. No, no, no. That's just me.
Yes, no, that happens all the time.
Okay, like it's
But
okay.
I
Like
think that goes back to part of like a lot of times you don't respect how well you paint.
you,
I'm not at all trying to brag, right? Like I paint models and I'm like, oh, whatever, it looks okay, but people are like, holy cow, that looks great, and I'm like, well, I mean, there's this, and this about it that's not great, right? But
right, because you see the flaws when you look at your own stuff.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I do. That's basically it for airbrushing. I've been practicing a lot more with detail with an airbrush, and end glazes with an airbrush, but it's something that I think is an incredible tool and everyone should own because those first two steps alone, the priming and the zenithal, the level that takes your painting to is just a huge step up, right? If you've never done zenithal painting before and you don't know the effect it can have on glazing and things like that, it's watch hobby cheating videos from Vince, but then try it and practice it, and it allows you to wet blend and have things look great.
Yeah, my Nagash is zenithal, and my beasts will be. I had a test model for an Ungor Raider, and I did it a little bit, and I'm still using Rust-Oleum rattle cans though. Don't tell anybody; they'll like take away my hobby trophies. I'll never win. Um, so yeah, so there we have a general, and then now I want to go specific with the Orgot's Damon Spew. I think is his last name.
That is him.
Yeah. You've actually got better pictures. I just liked this one better because we had the scale 75 and the play-in and slay-in cup.
Yeah, that was the Koopman picture.
All right, here we go. So I actually watched this one like kind of in progress coming up through it, and this purple has actually really got some depth to it here on screen as opposed to like when you were bringing it up. So you want to just take me a little bit through what you did here?
Yeah, so I mean it's zenithal, and then there's not a purple paint that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like the purple and the pinks as far as paint, at least that I use scale and GW, and that's basically it. I use Vallejo like here and there, but not a ton of it. So there's not a purple that I really like. So that's custom colors that I'm slowly in the process of putting all my GW paints in the dropper bottles because I'm finally caving into doing that. But so it's basically two different scale colors with some ink as the base coat, and then the same two scale colors with a lighter scale color and some ink as glaze. And then, believe it or not, it's dry brushed. So I always do a base coat of a very thin glaze over the zenithal, and then I do layering, but then I do a top coat of dry brushing.
I still like how it looks.
Yeah, and like, I mean, so dry brushing, I am a firm believer in dry brushing. I think that people who hate it are just people who like kind of are on their hobby high horse, and like if you think that dry brushing is a cheating way or a lazy way to paint, I think that you're a fool. So especially if you glaze over your dry brush. If you dry brush and glaze, it makes you have super highlights and super deep recesses.
Tristan said it there too. Like I paint a lot of skeletons, and dry brushing when you get through it, and then like you said, 420 glaze it at the end. It just like I'm not that good of a painter, but just that knowing that technique makes stuff look good. It looks good. Or like yeah. It's just like it's a tool. It's a tool in the toolbox, and it might be like your hammer, your screwdriver, one you always go to, but still like you don't want to use the screwdriver for a different job. You know, even if it is your most used tool. So.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so someone just said it, right? Like, when you have one of these, and I can't see my camera anymore, but I'm sure you can see what this is.
Yeah.
It like the difference that this makes in dry brushing compared to trying to use like something like this that's not meant to be used for dry brushing. Neither is this, but this has very soft, and if you get your paint off it, like, you'll never have brush strokes. You'll have very high highlights, and then you put a glaze over it, and it looks beautiful. So like, I don't know, you can use that for almost every step of painting, and it gives you a much easier way to get blended colors than wet blending. And I think that wet blending is super intimidating for a lot of people, and like working with retarders and things like that is kind of overwhelming, and something that like if you don't practice, it looks really bad. But if you take the time to practice and learn, like anything else, it looks good. But this is almost like something you don't even have to practice. As long as you get enough paint off and you, again, get enough glaze off your brush when you're doing it, it just works. Like it's not hard. It just is being patient and making sure that you get the paint off the brushes.
Right. And clearly we're looking at a work in progress here, but I think you can see the intent of the model really well. We had a question earlier about the Escalation League. I know you were really answering it. What's up with an Escalation League? Nosh asked specifically, what's up with an Escalation League? So just in case you're joining live later, or you've been hobby painting and you're tuning us out in the VOD later when you're listening back to this, an Escalation League is essentially escalating the game points and therefore kind of like the hobby as you go along, right? Like that's the idea, is that you start out playing your Escalation League starting at 500 points or 1,000. 500 points. Yeah, so you're starting out at 500 points. I mean, hopefully you got a narrative in there, some sort of thing that has these armies throwing themselves. If not, I can write you something. I'm good at writing.
Our Tomb Kings friend just sent a link because he's in. He has officially joined, and this is beautiful. So
nice.
Yes, the answer to a question you didn't ask, but just hinted at, is yes. This is what we're using.
Perfect. Look, a narrative. Nice. Oh. Okay, cool. This makes me happy. So like the Escalation League is that like essentially you start out like a small points. It's really good to get people into the hobby and to help build a community early, like somewhere, right? Which is really where you're at with and this circles back to our Islands chat, which is really why I wanted to bring you on here, is because you've been building up your island better than I've checked out for my local gaming store. Like, it's just like the one Skaven player who has his models from Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and I have beat him, and I have beat him 3 or 4 times now, and I'm like, you win this matchup, dude. I'm like here's Nagash and 80 skeletons. Like, I'm not even the fast version of Nagash. You should win this. and it's just like, anyway. So I've like kind of checked out from my local gaming store, and like that's on me. That's not on them. I should do some of those things you mentioned where I go in there and I'm more active, engaged. And so you have this escalation league, 500 points, but then also there's a hobby side of it. You want people to be sharing their models as they go and their progress, like you're doing here with this. And then you add 250 points on, in another, however amount of, what's your period of time, do you think? Right,
Each month.
Each month?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there it is, Ty. I
like
was
that.
wrong by double. I said 3. I made it 6.
It's good that he came late, though. He missed all the terrible things I said about him. So.
Oh yeah, we were just teeing off on how bad your D&D game is. And how Brice and the whole Basement or Death are going to come play with me instead. No, go on.
So Nosh asked again, like, specifics and if it's Midwest. Tristan, where do you live? Like the middle of nowhere in Canada?
He lives on the greatest island in Canada.
So
Prince Albert Island.
In person,
that's a joke.
Obviously, is part of it, but I have tried very hard to make it open to everyone, and we just got a Canadian involved. So you don't have to be here to be part of it. Like, if you want to join us and paint with us and join in the narrative part of it, and I'll send you bits from my army happily. If you want to put those on your bases, happy to do it. So if you're interested, just hit me up on Twitter or email me at intern@basementofdeath.com.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I actually I do have virtual tabletop. I wonder if I could rig it up with some custom meeples and shit for you guys to like do your deployment, and then we talk through what happens. Like, and then like see who won for like to get I know like the hobby aspect and the narrative aspect is really like a big part of it, but the narrative needs to be drawn from somewhere. I guess we could just like go into Roll20 and roll a d6. Just high roll takes it. You won that game, and then
we could have a narrative battle.
Narrative's
the other.
What if it's a rap battle?
Or a rap battle? Yeah. As long as Jacob Berry's not involved, I'm good with the rap battle.
Brice and Tristan to play horse. We could live stream it. You're at 2 different basketball courts, but we can have like various positions.
There we go.
We can have the positions marked out, so just position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many positions we need to shoot from. Perfect.
Can we play on a 9-foot hoop? I'm a little out of it now that I broke my hand.
Winner gets the other guy to paint a model. Well, no, it's sending bits from your army. So Brice, in this situation, Tristan, you're my bro, but Brice, you gotta crush him because I want all those sweet, sweet Tomb King heads on your bases.
Oh yeah.
Get fucked. You're done. I love my tiny little community for RantCasts. Seriously, thank you all. Wow. So yeah, you're painting up this guy. Work in progress here. And then you had some like Plague Bearers or Blight Kings. Where was it?
Plague Bearers, yeah.
Plague Bearers.
So yeah, I got Ograth and then the 10 Blight Kings and then a converted sorcerer that I haven't shared with the world yet. So he's right here, but you can only see him from a distance.
I see a Great Bray Shaman with a sweet scythe.
You do see a Great Bray Shaman with maybe a Blight King body and a scythe. I don't know. Who knows?
Hell yeah. How does the bit swap work in escalation? That's actually a great question.
So there's not really like necessarily. I think it's more of like a narrative thing, right? Like if we come across each other and we have a battle, and like obviously I don't know where you live. You don't have to tell me because it's the internet. But
correct.
If you live in the middle of Wyoming and we can play each other and you can have crossed me. There's another treat.
Welcome back. 24 years of subscription from Greywalker. This is Max. He is the OG of my subscribers, by the way. When I first hit affiliate 2 whole years ago, nice. Max is the first subscriber. He's from Germany. He is the German. and
Oh.
we played D&D. He was like in every one of my one shots for like almost a 6-month span. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, Max. But you did just get the Corgi a treat for the resub. So. Mochi, would you like a treat? There we go. Good doggo. Anyway, so escalation, where they live, the bit swap. Continue.
Oh yeah. So like basically like the way that the easiest way to talk about it is the most obvious way. So Ty is starting an Ironjaw's army. If he's in the escalation league and like has a battle against the Tomb Kings and destroys some Tomb King giant, and then maybe he puts the Tomb King giant's head as a shoulder pad and its weapon as its great weapon, things like that. Like if you wanna tell a story about how you kicked my ass and you want some bits from my army, I will gladly throw them in the mail for you, and you can convert up your bases, your models, whatever you want to do with that. So
No, you don't have to apologize, Max. I'm just happy you're here, and you continue to support me in my quest. Um, we're in a live show, obviously, so I'll have to PM you in a bit, but 13-hour shifts, 3 days a week. Yeah, gross.
we both purchased Tomb King giants at NashCon, so they kind of are growing on trees at this point in time.
It's funny. So like, and that's the thing is like, do you actually lop off the head of your thing that they beat, or you just buy a bit, or you have your extra bits in your
No.
box?
I probably am not willing to cut up my painted models, but I have extra bits that I would be happy to give. Unless it was like something truly epic, then sure, I'll cut up a model for you. But
If it's
I'm
like super,
talking
but that's got to be the
next level
finals.
epic.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty hard. Yeah, like we all have extra bits for our armies laying around and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool, love it.
Yeah, I suddenly like now have probably 1,000 points of Tomb Kings.
See, I have several thousand points of Tomb Kings because I just proxy everything I have that's the better version from Legions of Nagash and then run it as a Tomb Kings
Ooh.
model. And soon I'll have like 5,000 points because the best army in Age of Sigmar is getting released in a couple months. God, I'm a monster.
Uh, we got Peyton Morgast. Is that Kyle?
Yeah, one of them is. Minimum Pants was in here earlier.
Oh no, that's not Minimum Pants. That's Frank on the rocks.
No, Frank is he's on the Bone Reaper train with me. So
Man.
yeah, one of us.
Ah. We got so much chat. It's hard to read the chat.
I haven't had to deal with this much chat in such a long time, and that the OG sub is in here. I feel I have to talk to him. It's like actually like an Elvis sighting at this point. I haven't seen him in a couple months.
Nice.
But he's kept the streak alive. 24 straight months of subscription. This is why. So like I do my October marathons. I do a spoopy game marathon. So sorry everyone in the entire world that watches me for D&D and Age of Sigmar. I actually play video games on stream sometimes. And in October I famously have done like spoopy game marathons or like scary game marathons. I kick off every one of them with an Alan Wake game, whether it's Alan Wake the core game or Alan Wake's American Nightmare, because Alan Wake is me in a video game form, and so we're journeying through the darkness with him. And it alternates which one I do each year. So this year we're actually on the rotation to do Alan Wake's American Nightmare, which is the DLC. It's a quick little like playthrough, 4 hours maybe. It's fantastic. So do tune in for that October 1st, whatever day that is. It doesn't matter. But like I do like the horror game marathon because October is my favorite month. Every great thing that has ever happened in my life has happened in October. Molly. Okay, well Colin was born in November, but like whatever. No, it's just like October's just like always like that good month. It's when my work hours like they die down a little bit I'm still getting paid well, so like I just get free time now, and so then I recommit to video games. OC Arc Bone Reapers come out in October, so it's just like it's the best month. So I'll be doing my scary game marathon again. Um,
Will you play the Simpsons zombie game?
what? Is this a thing?
I don't know. That's what Tristan just asked.
Is this a thing? Send me a link. Maybe I'll do that. Oh no, you'll still get your RantCast. You'll get the point of the October marathon isn't about being a spooky game. It's about me streaming 5 days a week. That's actually what it is. It was when I was making my push for subscriber after I got around the time I got affiliate, I decided like I needed the thing that was holding my streaming back the most was schedule, and so I needed to get into the habit of a schedule. And so when I made my push, I got affiliate 24 months ago, so it would have been in September. That's when my friend here, Max, subscribed. And then October was like, okay, I made affiliate, let's go. And so I started like the marathon to like get myself streaming 5 days a week, like a real streamer and stuff. And so it's more about number of streams. So in October, you're going to have 5 days of Mephisto a week. You're going to get D&D once.
Every week?
Every week.
Whew.
For an entire month. 5 days of Mephisto. All the Mephisto you can handle. And you might even get 6 or 7 some weeks.
That's impressive.
I know. So you're going to get all that hot, sick Mephisto action. Yeah, but then I do... the RantCast will keep going. I got to do my next docket of guests. So after you, Andrew Tolstead will be on. You know him, don't you? I'm not sure how you know him. But
yeah, I know him. He's my clubmate, man.
Yeah, he's your clubmate. But he said something when you all won all of the hobby awards about the hometown or something like that, that like a handful of you are from, or like the college or something like that. It wasn't Whitewater. It was... You all share a common town together. Or like some of you... I don't know. But,
I'm not sure, unless he's from... I know he lives in the Milwaukee area right now.
He lives in Madtown now.
Oh, Madtown.
Formerly
okay.
from Milwaukee. And he went to like Whitewater or Beaver Dam or I don't know.
Definitely not Beaver Dam. No one goes to Beaver Dam but me.
I don't know. I don't know. So like he's talking about, so like he was in your club and you, right? Like he was in your club for that?
Yeah. Yeah, and I met him a couple years back at Adepticon, and I've just chatted with him here and there since, and he's a really cool dude.
Yeah, see, like I knew him IRL, and then
Oh, okay.
through like so it went the other way because he was Joe's roommate, and Joe's my college friend, forever. Hey, whoa. I don't know if what you're supposed to know that he needs to be mysterious, right, to maintain his authority.
Yeah, you can't call him the JOE word.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. Yeah, so like man, yeah, so he's up next. That's going to be a Saturday recording instead of a Thursday, which is where I want to record every Thursday, so the video's out on Friday, and I'm right in between anything important. I'm after Warhammer Weekly. You have time to watch my video in between everybody else's break. There's so much good content in this community. It's like you almost feel arrogant even thinking you can start a podcast. Like how am I going to fit it in? I have my like must listens to, which is like it starts regionally. Like I have to listen to everybody from my area. I've recently started listening to Mortal Realms because of you, Tristan. You asshole. So like there's just a ton of like podcasts to catch up on there. And I listen to non-Age of Sigmar podcasts too, everybody. I know it's weird. I haven't watched a Critical Role in I don't know how long. But that's because their paywall is stupid. It's stupid. You will never have a paywall with Mephisto until I really sell out super hard. And there's like 1,000 people watching these. I'm kidding. No, so it's like you almost feel arrogant to start a podcast, and then you're like, but then you're like me, and you're like your favorite podcast hasn't come out with an episode for like 2 weeks, and then your second favorite hasn't come out with one for like a couple weeks, and you're like, and then like it comes out and you instantly listen to it, and then you're like, God damn it, I have like 7 hours left of work and like 5 more days of work, and so like I get it, like there's more stuff. The one shot didn't have a paywall for how long. You could have stopped subbing at any time at some point. Like Snuka subbed once, and then she got into like three one shots. Brice isn't subbed to me. He's been in a one shot. That's not a content barrier though. That's a participation barrier. You got to pay money to glimpse the sun. You can watch it for free. There's no paywall to watch it. But yeah, you got to pay to get behind the velvet ropes. What am I? I'm not Santa Claus. I can't give all my quality away for free. No, the one shots though, and that was somebody else's idea. Is they're like, oh, you're really good at D&D, and I know what a dumb thing to say. You're really good at D&D. Like, ooh, I'm good at, I don't know. And they're like, well, how about you like make that like an incentive for people to subscribe? Like they get to be in your D&D games, and I'm like, that's kind of cool because a lot
That's
of other
another sub. Got another sub on the
oh minimum. Thank you so much for that, Mochi. Are you treated out? Or are you ready for another treat?
Oh,
I don't know why you. I don't know either, Kyle. All right, Mochi. You get to get in camera range for the treat. Can we go down here? There's a treat. Oh, it's a delicious treat. Thank you so much for that sub there, Kyle. You missed your part where I already talked about how I love you earlier on. Yeah, so like I don't know. I was hesitant to start casting because I felt like it was arrogant to try to make content because I don't. And this is how you talk about like with painting how you get insecure because you only see your flaws. It's the same way when you tell stories, when you write stories, when you do podcasts and stuff. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch this in a couple days, and I'm gonna see every time I said or like.
Don't count mine.
The entire, and that's all I'm gonna hear is or like for an entire segment. And I'm just gonna like sit there like hating the entire segment, and like it's rough. Like you're really analytical, and like I know directly like content creators that I respect more than whatever I do on this show. And it's not from like an insecure standpoint. Like the production value, for instance, of Playing and Slaying is unquestionable. I don't know who it is on your team. I've heard it's like actually Josh. Someone's been in broadcast.
Mr. Koopman does the editing.
Yeah, they've been an actual the Coop Man has been an actual broadcaster, had some learning in it because I hear real and literal actual techniques. So the creative writing program at Eau Claire is very thin. So they make you take film courses and broadcast courses and journalism courses, which is why I have extra knowledge, like a couple classes here or there. But it's like the production value is like there. I'm like, I don't have production value. I just started the tape at the beginning of the thing, and at the end, I'm gonna cut off like 10 minutes here and like 2 minutes on the back end, and that's what's gonna go to YouTube. There's no production value here. Like I'm not even sold on the layout. No real broadcast.
I love the layout.
Just a wizard. I wanted chat to be really big because that's part of what being a live streamer is, I think. The live cast aspect, the live radio is the advantage of this format is you get to participate, and showing that the participation is part of it is important. But yeah. You studied comm arts but do none of the work.
Ty is always impressed when he puts like one line of show notes into the show notes that Troy has already written for us.
I like that Ty knows to modulate. Do you know how annoying it is to listen to good podcasters not modulate their goddamn voice? Like, like it's so frustrating.
What did you think of Sensual Ty when we were talking?
Like,
it was the B-roll of one of the episodes recently.
At the end of the end of last one was like them seeing you on Discord. That was like the whole thing.
The episode before that was we were changing the lighting in the room and Ty turned it into the Love Shack or something. Yeah. I can't remember.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. No, that was good. And then the other one was just like talking about was it Tom's knee in the hallway? Like. Yeah. That was. Yeah. No, man. Keep doing what you're doing, Ty. Y'all put out You only have like 10 people that listen to you or whatever, but like there should be 1,000 that listen to you. It's fucking great. It's fantastic. Um, but wow, you're going for at some point. We're just padding for time to break Tristan's record.
Yeah, that's fine. He's gonna come back someday and try to be like, yeah, let's go longer than Brice, and I want to make it so that he really has to put in the effort.
That's what it is.
He's gonna feel really bad after this game of horse when he embarrasses himself, and then he's gonna try super hard to beat me here. So
It's been padding for like 45 minutes. Hey, the clock don't lie, Tristan. The clock don't lie. What we need, the real measure will be how many likes do we get on the video. Or how many likes versus like down likes. We'll go off the percentage, right? It'll be more fair that way. Because that video has been out longer, so it's just going to have like extra views going on. So we got to go off the percentage like to dislike. So the higher percentage enjoyed video is the one that wins, Tristan.
Do we have dislikes on Tristan's video?
Not a 1.
All right, well let's change that.
Like, speaking of, like, so we keep talking about these gamer islands, which is the main point, and like I'm astonished that one of my favorite people is Tristan. He just
I'm astonished by that too.
Yeah,
for no other reason than that it's him.
No, but like I mean, I've met like AOS coach Tristan, are like LLV. Like to an extent, because we just like are on the same wavelength in terms of like how we got into Age of Sigmar. Like he even played competitive fighters like I did, and stuff, until like I broke my hand, and then I just like you can't when it's milliseconds difference, you lose that millisecond, it's over. So like I met these people from like around the country or around the world, the literal world, and like some of them are just like I would talk to Tristan about personal issues if he'd let me. Like, like this is like where I trust him with that information. It's like as a writer, I'm naturally an open book because everything I do, it becomes a story. Everything that ever happens to me becomes a story anyway. You have to be okay with a certain degree of broadcast. But then there's a degree of intimacy is different from information, if that makes sense. Like you and Ty and Tom that night, it's just like I consider you guys some of my closest friends now. Within the Age of Sigmar community, I'm like these are the like my go-to. These are like my like these are becoming my go-to peeps in this community and stuff, and just kind of the Milwaukee scene in general, where it's like I didn't like expect to be embraced by like a community as a total outsider the way I was, and so you talk about like building islands and stuff, and I think you do connect with people, and then it's like let's go to the place and play a game together, and that's freaking magical. Not anymore, Frank. As the aforementioned broken hand, I peaked in Street Fighter. I peaked in Soul Calibur 2 and Tekken Tag. So I peaked back then, and Street Fighter Alpha whatever was out, and Marvel vs. Capcom, the first one had just becoming. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was big, but Marvel vs. Capcom still had a really, really strong scene. So, but yeah, no, I did that, and I did some competitive MOBA-ing, and I did competitive shooter for a while. But I made the most real money off of Magic the Gathering, followed by League of Legends. I was actually an alternate. On Curse. They're Team Liquid now, but they used to be Curse. I was an alternate on Team Curse for the jungler position. I was like 3 or 4 down, but basically they had scrubs that they had to beat up in practice games to go prepare for their pro tournament, and I was one of those scrubs that they beat up once a week. That was the closest I ever got to being like a pro player. MK11 looks excellent, by the way. It's fucking they finally have a proper game. Yeah, you value the sports trophy more than any trophy, but was accused of buying the vote, and that kind of hurt the feels. Yeah, I mean, that'll do it.
I've had people say that before, like that you're buying their sports vote.
Well, that's a
but
meme,
like,
right?
I mean, I'm giving people shit because I like them. I'm buying them drinks because I like them. I've played people who I've not bought drinks for, and I've I've I don't know. I've won sports votes before, so I wouldn't say that you're necessarily buying your votes. It's just the crabby ass people that think they deserve a trophy for anything that are gonna say those
Well,
kind of things.
we're
You
bringing.
own that. You tied with me, man. Don't discount yourself.
Well, we got Corgi Gate going on here.
I,
I'm
I
buying
was
subs with a Corgi. No, sports is weird. Like the competitive monster in me is like I hate how sports is handled. But like I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think sports voting and hobby voting are two things that keep Age of Sigmar wholesome. It's just like I don't know. You don't want to see that like the chipmunking and those weird things. The thing is like I haven't really seen them directly until Margaritaville. Like, but
yeah.
like, where it's just like that was like like because Andrew Tolsted's army like was there. One of the best painted armies I've personally like seen up close. The more you look at it, the more like you notice like he has the hand painted checker patterns and like just these really with the chest. He has like a little chessboard patterns and the real rust effects on his weapons and stuff. And you go like someone's gonna walk past your display board to the margarita machine, like every time. Even if it's not the best one painted in the room, they're walking towards that Margaritaville. Like, and that's not to take away from Margaritaville, man. He put effort into his display board and stuff, but it's like you can sway people with the like advertising of an army or the advertising of the sports. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
Like,
I don't think that and maybe I don't know I know exactly what you're talking about, but maybe not the specific example, but like the flashy shit might win like favorite army votes, but it's never going to win a painting vote. Like a lot of times the best painted army is the one that doesn't catch your eye, right? Like the the it's all
oh
about
yeah,
contrast when you walk past in a big room. Like if you have a dark painted army with bright ass highlights, that's why people love OSL so much, is because it really catches your eye. It's what your brain just naturally does it. So, you know, Sylvaneth is a great example because you paint your trees dark and you put bright leaves on them, and everyone's like, "Oh man, that's awesome." When you could have a Andrew Tolstad or this is a bad example, but Vince army next to it that isn't gonna catch your eye as quickly as that does, so you're just naturally inclined to turn this way.
well, if you don't know it was Vince standing next to Vince's army at NashCon, you might have walked past it, and you wouldn't
Yeah,
have got
well,
to you. No, but like to
the
admire the
way he painted
detail.
those rocks, I was like, "This is unreal. Is this a printed mat on his display board,
Yeah,
or did he paint
the
these?"
the
So
mirror is where I couldn't look away from his mirror. It had the portal and it showed, and he painted
yeah, yeah,
he did a fucking 3-point perspective painting through the mirror. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, so you walk up and you pick it up, and he's basically got this 3-point perspective depth painting on the other side of the mirror. It's just in a space, this tiny space, and I'm just like, like, like,
yeah.
like wow. But again, it was a muted colors, grays, purples. He had, like it was kind of muted color scheme, so you might not catch you immediately unless you were looking for it. But his display board was good too, though. He had nothing like overt, just clean, good,
Yeah.
good. Just here's technique, right? Like it was good. All right. One more AMA session. I got to use the restroom real quick.
Yeah.
And then we'll switch to closeout because you've already beaten Tristan's record easily. Now,
Yeah, and I'm not padding the time either. This is all great content. So
max
let's hear those
quality.
questions.
Yeah, so let's get a question in here, and if I come back to a sub or something, it's your sub, not mine. I'll be giving you the prime sub is you get $2.50, and if it's a tier 1 sub, you get $5.
Oh, look at that. Mochi's
So.
like, did you say sub? What's that?
Hang on, I'll be right back. Yeah, Mochi heard the word sub. She's like, I'm about it.
Was ruled out of winning best sports at Meltdown since I had an opponent cascade and leave. I understand why he did it. Family emergency, but it was a bummer. You are a fantastic person, Kyle. And I hope that one day I get to play you, but only if you're fielding 8 more guests. It's a requirement. Where are the subs are the questions at though? You guys, come on. Look at the poor dog. She just wants to get out, and Andrew locked her in the room. What's my favorite corn hero? My favorite corn hero is without a question Archeon. Does that count? Scarbrand is also there, and then I really like the why can't I think of his name? The whip dude. The I don't know, because he looks so silly. He looks like he should be a Nurgle model, but he's a corn model. So I like those three. If I had to pick one, I'd pick Scarbrand because the dude's badass. Bloodstoker. Yep. All right, who's patting now? You think it's me? How about you ask me a more relevant question than you trying to defend yourself? What's your favorite model you've ever painted? My favorite model I've ever painted is probably my Celestin Prime. Yeah, I think so, without question, actually, on that one. So I converted the Celestin Prime up with the Phoenix wings, and painted it to match my Phoenix army. I just think that model is such a cool model, and then when you take those silly wings that it comes with off it and put really any other wings on it, it just turns into this incredible model. So that, and then the model I'll just ask myself a question I'm most proud of is probably the Frostheart Phoenix that I converted for Holy Wars. That was the first hobby award that I ever won, and it was something that I wanted to do for a super long time, and I was like, I don't know why I didn't do it, but I basically inverted the Phoenix and bent his wings the other way and had him standing a lot like the way that Chris Tomlin did it, but I tried to do it even more. So yeah, that was my favorite model. Can't hold up a show without hand holding. I get it. Yep. What's your take on the 4-team event at Acon? Do you have a group and a plan yet? I love it more than anything I could have ever imagined I would love. I I don't know the answers to the other two questions. There's been a lot of talks about a group, and a lot of talks about a plan, but it's kind of up in the air. The one thing I'm wishing is that we had a bit more detail at this point, because for what I think that I and possibly a group of people want to put into it, it really has to start pretty soon. And I don't want to half-ass it or rush it. So I'm hoping that Alex gets something posted soon. I know that he's obviously an extremely busy man with a 1-year-old kid and
New
and
kid,
whatnot.
yeah,
So
new
no
babby.
fault to him, but I just, for my own selfish reasons, want to know and know as soon as possible.
Mochi. Here's a bonus treat for tolerating me being on. There you go.
Bonus treats.
Good Mochi. So I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Teams, singles, or doubles? Which do you prefer?
Event or like a 1-day type of thing? Like
Ooh.
a play one game or play an event?
Event.
Event? Doubles without a doubt. Well, okay, I can't say that fairly because I've never played in a teams event. But if we're talking like a teams where each game is a 2,000 point game, two person team event is 100% what I would choose. Not just because of the chance to play with someone I really enjoy for 5 games, but also because you get to meet 10 people instead of 5. And that's cool to me, and I just like the cool shit you can do when you each can play 1,000 points. And I don't know if Tyson is still here, but this year at Holy Wars we're trying to do something cool, and I think that team events allow for the coolest hobby adventures you can ever go on, because if you put the time and effort into theming those two armies together, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, so doubles. Yeah, I've been in love with the doubles format since Dragonfall. I got to meet both you and Butch in the same game, right?
Yep.
And I got to meet both the Ramcheks in the same game, and like it was like where, Joe and Mark would be playing, and then I would get to talk to Isaiah, and then like someone's doing something, and then I can like actually talk to actually get to talk to somebody while models are being moved is. Oh, here we go. We're bringing the waifu into camera.
Someone asked, so you got to get it where you can see it. Sorry.
No, you're fine. The IC champ. No. So like I like that aspect there, but also like a lot of the pressure of a tournament is taken off. Like there are logistical things of moving your army and setting up and stuff that just having another pair of hands there makes.
Yeah.
Insanely, it just smooths the process. So like the 3-rounder, I'd love to see like a 5-rounder doubles. I've only ever really I've seen a 5-rounder doubles. No, it's only been 3. I've only seen 3-rounder doubles.
I've never done a 5.
I'd love to see a 5-rounders doubles.
I think it would be awesome. And I think it just takes someone doing it, right? Because so many people want it, and if someone just does it, it's going to be successful. Like,
so, yeah. So incidentally, RantCast will be hosting a no. No, I just I did the TO thing once, and I liked it, but I'm like, hey, there's so much other crap that goes into being a TO that I don't have the resources for right now, so I got to put that back on pause. But just focus on my armies and RantCast and.
We got 2 more questions. 2-person teams, 1K or 1,250 points.
I'm not going to answer this. I think Kyle knows my answer.
I will answer and say 1,000 points. I think that 1,250 is just people trying to net list more, and for me, it's a hobby thing. Like I think I've made pretty clear. So that's my answer, Kyle. Like it or love it.
Like it or love it. Your only 2 options. You can either like it or love it. I do like the 1250, and I like it. I like it because you get to field a huger, sweeter model, and if you're like a fluff narrative guy, you can take your Alariel now and not be at a total like compromise to your partner. You can bring your huge stupid crap that's kind of overpriced, and I like being able to have 2 people playing huge stupid crap. Joe's BCR list works more at 1250 than it does at 1K, because he really is just like, here's a Stonehorn and a bunch of cats, and like he's not even getting to, if he just wants to push around the one Stonehorn, then cool. Otherwise, it's like a Stonehorn, a Thundertusk Beast Riders, and then just like cats or whatever.
Yeah.
It's barely an army at that point for him. And for me, I tend to play Horde armies, so I can function at either level, So, whatever. But I like that people get to bring more huge, stupid crap at 1250. Like, you're almost half of a real army there, whereas in 1,000, like, you're not quite. You're really sacrificing something,
See, I like that, though.
You like that, though? Yeah, and that's just...
yeah. And obviously, like, everyone's opinion is different. And
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. Hey, now you got a drink. We talk at the same time.
Yeah, I just like the fact that like having to make a decision of if this unit is better than this unit instead of just we'll just bring them both.
No, for me it's not about that. Like I like the big stupid crap aspect.
You just want to play Nagash. I understand.
No.
It's
no,
fine.
no,
It's
not in teams anymore.
It's what you wanted to say, and you said Alariel. It's okay. We all know the truth.
He is. Have you seen the visual metaphor that occurred when I got back from NashCon?
Yeah.
He broke. He broke. It was like the universe was telling me to put him on the shelf for a little while. I don't believe in signs and crap like that, but Nagash just like breaking when I got him home. Lily broke it, actually. It was oh my god. Can I tell it? I shouldn't. No, I'm a content creator. I can't talk about kids. It's the Facebook kid's photo equivalent of podcasting. But I'm going to fucking do it anyway. So I came home and I got all my bags and came in the house and I put the stuff and then I came upstairs and I was like putting things away, like, because clothes I didn't wear, dirty clothes have to go out the back, yada yada. And then Molly came upstairs and she got me and she brings me downstairs and says, Andrew, sit down. I'm like, okay. And then she picked up Nagash in his now 3 pieces. And I'm like, okay, what happened? And she's like, well, Lily wanted to play with him. And she feels really bad about it. And so, like, I didn't want you to yell or anything like that. And I'm like, where's Lily? And she's, like, hiding over on the recliner. This is my 3-year-old daughter. And she's hiding and she's, like, won't even look at me. I'm like, Lily, what happened? And she's like, I broke him. And I'm like, it's okay. It's just plastic, sweetie. I'm like, because in that moment I wasn't mad. It was like she wanted to play Warhammer. It's just her body doesn't work right because she's a baby. Well, she's a toddler. And she accidentally broke the Nagash. And it was just like, I was more like, that's my girl, than mad. Because, like, here she is just trying to emulate me and, like, oh, daddy just got back from the big tournament. I'm going to, like, play with his stuff, you know, and try to be like him. And so I wasn't even, like, upset. Although, like, now it's, like, okay, now I got to fix Nagash. But, like, so that sucks. But it was that, I wasn't mad that there. I was happy. It was adorable. It was actually, like, adorable. And so, like, Age of Sigmar is kind of a big goddamn deal to me. I don't know if you know. And
Tristan says I paid her off. She's on my payroll.
Is that what it is? I think she's showing she's going to be a little Nagash player when she grows up. Crap, I keep pronouncing it correctly. She's going to be a Nagash player when she grows up. She's just getting her reps in early. She knows that you can't throw Nagash out there without a screen now. She knows that. She's figured it out. He breaks. She has a boom. She'll know forever. Got to screen your Nagash. She's nailed it now. Like, she drops a skeleton from 40 feet. It won't even, like, lose an arm unless it lands exactly on the spear. But like,
Single greatest game of Warhammer you've ever played. Go.
David Griffin. Like, I've personally played, or, like, just in terms of, like, played. No, my favorite memory currently of Warhammer is the game I played against David Griffin at Brew City. And the thing is I had 5 great games that day. Like, not just good games, because it's like I played 4 good games and I had 1 that was okay. No, I played 5 great games. Every person I played could have got my best sports vote at Brew City. Every one of them. I had to agonize over who would get it, you know? Like, I had to truly think, and in the end I ended up giving it to David because he took it like a champ in defeat, if that makes sense. And that was, like, kind of how like, he lost in the most bullshit way you could lose a game of Age of Sigmar. And he just took it on the chin. But it was like, so I played against him, and it was Places of Arcane Power, my old Bone Zone list, which is 80 Skeletons, Nagash, 10 Black Knights, White King on Steed, and a Necromancer. And Spell Portal, obviously, plus a command point. So, my old list, love that list. Still peak fun for me for what I've played in Age of Sigmar so far.
Good night, Tristan.
Good night, Tristan. So I jump Nagash with pinions onto the center objective, except I forget to stash 40 skeletons in a gravesite, so he just has a screen of dogs and 40 skeletons behind him instead of, like, a perfect bubble of 40 skeletons, right? And then I run 40 skeletons and a Necromancer towards the top objective, and I run Black Knights and White King on the bottom objective. I score 2 out of 3 of them. I debuff his unit of eels because he's running Stormcast Eternals, classic, like, Protect the Queen, Star Drake, plus he's got a allied unit of eels, of attack eels. So plus Paladors, actually, pretty cool list, actually. Big fan. So he goes. He blows up my screen exactly with everything. So it's just like 6 Palladors, 6 Eels about to charge Nagash, and Nagash is at half life from Pallador shooting alone, which
Oh
is
gosh, what?
fucking crazy. Which is fucking crazy. Um,
What?
yeah, I know. I think some liberators dropped down and shot him too. Whatever.
Had to have.
It
Had
was
to have.
still crazy.
I
It
think the
was
most they
still
could do is 6 wounds.
he was at 8 wounds left. Um, yeah, no, it's a good list. I like it. Except he only had 1 scoring unit in the whole army, which was his Star Drake. His Star Drake then attacks my Black Knights. All but kills the White King, leaving him on 1 wound. So he contests the point rather than scores it. Alright, so I have 2 points. He has 0 points. We roll for initiative. The die leaves my hand and lands on a 1. Like, we're shaking at the same time. The die, like, leaves my hand and lands before his, and it hits on a 1 and it skids across the table, and it's a 1. And I see his face begin to light up as the die leaves his hand, and it lands on a 1. So I go first. I unsummon my Umbral Spell Portal. I resummon my Umbral Spell Portal. I hand a dust to Star Drake. He can't score. He guesses the wrong die. So it's like a 4-point process to my victory of like, I have to have every one of these. Because he's about to table me. But it doesn't matter. Because he can't score.
Yeah.
And what I need you to know is that throughout that whole point, we're talking. The game is just happening. We're like looking at each other more than we're looking at the models. And we're talking to each other more than we're talking about the game. It was one of those games where we're just like, I'm having a conversation with a friend that I've just made instantly. It was such like his I want to call it professionalism, but it's like his just like respect for the game and his opponent is like top notch. It was just a great game, and he lost, and I remember him just like when that like initiative roll came out, him just going no, and he was like he was animated, and I was animated because I had a success because I had that one, and then I tied it, so now I get to go. It was just like, and I'm just like yeah, and he's like no, and it was like a wrestling match where I was maximum heel, where like I had just delivered the low blow, and I'm just like flexing on it and like pointing and taunting the crowd, and like everyone's worried about him, and it was just like it was this heavyweight champions of the world match where I just stole the win at the last second. If there was an audience, they'd just be gasping, and to be brilliant storytelling, like it was because I'm a good guy, but like to be able to play competitively, I have to play bad guy armies, if that makes sense, because I got to get into the mindset of what would Nagash do, What would my Beast of Chaos do, raiding your village and destroying everything to put your blood on the stone? Because if I don't have that, I'm gonna be Commander Shepard thinking we can solve it non-violently. So I have to play the villain army because I'm such a softie when it gets right down to it.
It's fair.
Yeah,
I don't know if I could even say. I think if you like say now, I would say second Midwest Meltdown game against Patrick Brindleson, and he was playing Daughters, and I was playing a weird Stormcast list that didn't make any sense. And like, it's one of those games where I don't really know what happened. I remember like 3 parts of the game, but I just think back on like one of the most engaging, happiest 2 players you could have playing. And that's the game I think of. Yeah, it's not. I don't know who won or who lost. I think I lost, but we just had this epic duel of 60 witches and a Star Drake in the middle of the table, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful moment. And Patrick is one of my top 5 favorite people in this community. So it's just a great experience. Not nearly as good of an answer as yours, but there's like I don't remember a lot of tactical battle moments. Like I've had super close games that come to turn 5 and go to the end of turn 5, and it's great and fun. But the things for me that I remember most are the people that I played against, and the impact that playing Patrick had was like yeah, this drive to Peoria was worth it for me. So
That's the thing is like, I want to. Part of me exists where I want to be the competitive, fine tuned, because I get like an imposter syndrome that starts to kick in. Like I know the rules. I know I'm really intelligent and so on and so forth. But then I get to the table, and like start of that stuff starts to like fade away where I don't need to bust your balls on the rules any like I just I want to beat you but I want to beat you on your level. I don't want to nickel and dime you. I don't want you to forget a rule and then like it's I'm
yeah,
consistent in that respect. And so like I feel like I'm at like personally like there's two sides of me that are at war. There's the old MTG old Street Fighter Soul Calibur player who wants to win and winning is all that matters in that context it was because there's nothing for showing up. I don't even talk to you when I play you in a game. I have headphones on, like in Magic and in Street Fighter and stuff like that. Like I don't even talk to you. I'm wearing headphones. Like, and then I show up to this game and it's like the game is almost like secondary. I'm going there to like as an excuse to drink beer and hang out with people that like Molly will accept. Right? Like if I'm like, I'm gonna go drink beer for 2 days and disappear from my family this weekend, like unacceptable. But if I'm like, I have a tournament to go to, but like it's a little bit different. And the part of the games that have lasted for me are that outside stuff. I played Jeremy Cooper at Acon, and he won, and I remember him going, "This is the messiest table I've ever had," because it was pure chaos. The murder that was he was playing Seraphon and I was playing, the Bone Zone, and there were so many bodies all over the table. And he went into his bag and he's like, "I hand out one of these every tournament." He's like, "This is your die." And so like I got my my ever chosen Slambo die, from so I've got a Slambo die in my collection forever now. Like, and it wasn't because I won the tournament or I have a hammer. Hammers are dime a dozen at this point. It's a meme. It's like, but like I've got the Slambo die that was gifted to me by, one of the sons of Slambo. Yeah. I've got the Slambo dice, and like that's better than like in like 2 or 3 or 4 years, as like the accolades will come just in general if you play the game well enough for long enough, right? Like you'll have you go to enough tournaments, you're gonna like you're just gonna like you're gonna get stuff, you're gonna achieve. But like the Slambo die memory I'm gonna have in 10 years, right? Like as if I end up with 4 hammers here, I won't remember which hammer's from what until I read the plaque. But the Slambo die, I'm going to pick it up and just, like, smile instantly. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Look at Kyle telling stories about his filth at Holy Wars, a narrative event.
Nagash, as filth. Gross. All right, so I think we can wrap here. You have successfully pummeled Tristan's record to where the next time he's got to really try for it by going 30 minutes over him. Shoutouts. Do you got any shoutouts you want to deliver?
I would be doing a disservice if I didn't mention Plain and Slam podcast again.
Plain and Slam.
That's my favorite podcast. Then Cubic Shenanigans, of course, as I've mentioned, good friend of mine that handles that one. And I mean, that's really it. The other things everyone knows about, right? Like if I say Garage Hammer or if I say Warhammer Weekly, we're just like way down here compared to them. So
if you're watching my cast, you've probably watched those other things. Like
yeah,
if you're
that's what I'm saying.
yeah, no, and then if people want to like look at some of your hobby progress or get in contact with you for Escalation League, maybe you're gonna be the first person who really innovates the long distance Escalation League format.
Yeah.
How do they do that?
At MooseGeek_. That's me on Twitter. That's the easiest way to get to me. I allegedly have an email intern@basementofdeath.com that I've never received an email to. So you could also try that.
I have one sitting in my draft folder. I just wasn't sure if I should go sincere or silly with it.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Whoa!
I don't know if we should give the dog this many treats, but maybe just a thank you.
Wow, Max, dude. With all the gift subs. Oh man, okay, so like now you just gotta like spam the Mr. Meth see you. I can't even. All right, Mochi, here, just finish the bag.
Yeah, here's the bag.
Here's the rest of the treats. Just finish the bag. There you go, dear. Thank you so much, Max, for all the gift subs there. That means a whole lot to me. We hit our goal. I now have to get new channel art. It's official because I get two new emotes for everybody. So now Max, what's up? Oh man.
I'd also like to thank you for cementing this as the best RantCast of all time. So I appreciate that.
Episode
Let's see
5.
You do that, Tristan.
Yeah. Oh man. The new emote. I want to do a deadly as ever. So Mr. Meth deadly, and we're gonna meme on the deadly as ever thing. So it's gonna be me probably making a facial expression, that's like laughing or something. I think we got to have a rant, like Mr. Meth rant, like something that gets like silly because like I've started a rant session went during my normal stream. Like I'm spitballing here, but you know what? If you want to, you can at me on the Twitters. Send me a DM or something like that, and let me know your suggestion for what my next 2 emotes should be. Now I have to go throw money at Stone Monk because I told him if I hit the next tier of sub, I was going to get a real profile picture instead of a Photoshop that I made.
Nice.
So, and he does fucking fantastic art. Like I'm
Sure does.
big fan. So yeah, we were mid shoutouts. I'll hop into Discord with you, Max, in a moment.
A Nagash emote. That's good
Oh, what if we do like instead of like because you have like the Craigasm, right? But we did the Craigasm with Nagash. So he's just
too.
like
There you go.
like Nagash is doing like that'd be pretty good, I think. Oh yeah, the Nagash. Oh, there we go. Meth Nagash. Oh, I've got it. So there's the next emote. It is decided. If you watch the league. Damn. And then Max, remind me how I help you get my emote in Discord for you. Because I know you're in Discord chat all the time. No. Dash, unsub to me. Unsub Dash. On a horse. No, it's fine to make fun of the way I say Nagash. It's not fine to make fun of Nagash himself.
No, it's fine.
Y'all salty. Alright, as far as so I'm not gonna do shoutouts on my own stream, but I do want to reiterate Cubic Shenanigans and Plain and Slain podcast. Just if you like go watch, listen, download. I have one app, it's called Shoutbox, I think it is. It actually lets me download all the podcasts from all the different platforms, whether it's iTunes or Spotify or whatever, so that it's on one app, and then I set up a playlist and I listen to them all work week long. They're always on my playlist every time. What I love about the Cubic Shenanigans podcast is you get Brendan being Brendan. The kind of like this like you get the deadpan, dry humor, kind of filthy player guy, and then you get Stormcaller Dan on the other side of things, who is just like the gushiest, most excited and happy to play the game guy. And so you have the passion, and then you have the passion on the one side. They're both passionate. I think Brendan is a character just like I play a character on Twitter. Like I'm more of a villain, bad GM, or a evil GM, Supreme Lord of Death, Skeletor type than what I really am in reality. Brendan, he has a passion for the game that I think it goes unsung You know, like watching him get happy for the potential of a Bone Reaper's and an Ogor's box in one, and just to buy it and hold them both and cuddle them and go to sleep at night with them under his pillow. Like, that's the side that I don't think you realize exists. But no, you still get the rules lawyer, the filth player, the account, like the accolades, and then you get the passion, the narrative, the reads all the Black Library books on the other side. It makes for a really good dynamic. And then Playing and Slaying is quite simply, it is a like pure gaming podcast disguised as an Age of Sigmar podcast. The whole crew there, the banter, the counterplay between them, the chat, there's just a wholesomeness. They're always playing games. They're always talking about new games coming down the lines. Troy's addiction to Kickstarters is
He basically owns Kickstarter.
it is worth. That alone is like worth a listen. Just like there's like a narrative that goes through like what he is kickstarting, as much as D&D week to week is what he is kickstarting and the progress through all that. The first one was Cubic Shenanigans, and so that one's like a total Warhammer podcast. They do 40K and they do Age of Sigmar, so you get both of them. I usually zone out the most during the 40K part. I don't play 40K. I'm sorry, guys. If you love 40K, you're awesome. I want to like the thing you like. I want to like the thing you like, but I just don't. You're cool. I'm not judging you. It's just not for me. I'm sorry. It's just not. I live in the realm of like the fantasy that is Age of Sigmar. You know, it's like it is a fantasy game of a fantasy game at this point. I love that. It's that next a fantasy game has moved across the checkerboard of fantasy and said king me. It's just it's over the top fantasy. I love it. It's everything I want. Yes, I told you I'd steal your line, Frank. I told you. I was coming for the line. But it's the fantasy. Yeah, I've not heard of this one. Yeah. No, so thank you for tuning in, everybody. You now have the high score successfully and unquestionably, Brice. Because if the
Champion.
if the time stamp didn't get it, I think the sub spam did. And so I don't think there's really much else to say about that. Any closing thoughts?
Thanks for having me, and I think just to echo a little bit of what we said, just make the effort to be part of the community that you're in or that you want to be in, because look at how far apart are we right now? Probably about an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And we just chatted for the last hour and a half and talked about models, happiness and stuff like that. So
it's been 3.5 hours.